Where's that? Oh, there we go. Fuck. Yeah. What's up, Rat Soup?
Hey, hey, how you doing, man?
I'm great. Um, what do you think about the prompt tonight?
I like it. Best evidence for God. Yeah, that should. Hopefully, we'll get some people who are, get some sort of outside the norm beliefs maybe with that too.
Yeah, maybe, Um, I've been running this a lot lately. I've been really enjoying it. Um, I might, I like having a variety, but I also like honing in on this one topic sometimes because it kind of keeps the discussion grounded, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so often I'll like talk about how God's a moral monster or something, and then I'll accidentally say, and so that's why God can't be real. I'm like, well, shit, that wasn't even the point.
Yeah, fair, fair. I mean, that's when I talk about God being a moral monster, that's usually kind of the point for me. It just doesn't make sense to me that a God could be a moral monster and still exist. But yeah, that invites a whole like different realm of discussion that is both repetitive and very boring.
Yeah, and it only disproves a specific kind of God. There's definitely the
Exactly.
possibility, given the attributes of whatever God you're talking about, that it could be evil or indifferent or inept or something. Hey, Nathan sent
One
the
of the
heart.
most
Hey, thank you.
one of the most horrifying god concepts I've heard of is like an author god, where like you don't say Tolkien is evil because he put Frodo through suffering, right?
Right, right.
Tolkien probably even in fact loves Frodo as a character himself, and he can genuinely say he loves Frodo while putting Frodo through absolute torment. You know what I mean? And if God is like that, that's a terrifying thought.
Terrifying because like he could be like, man, who would be a really interesting sadistic character? Man, I love that character. He's got such a messed up past, and everybody's afraid of him because he's so psychotic and he causes all this suffering. It's a really interesting story, and all the other godlings are like, well, this he's a pretty good author, but it's kind of predictable. That would be terrifying because he wouldn't give a shit. It's like I'm gonna write this character to come up with the author god thing, so it's like gets a little bit meta, but he's like gonna be wise to it and he won't be able to prove it. It's gonna drive him crazy. That's gonna be an interesting thing for me to write in my story.
Yeah, Yeah, it at least is more consistent than the God of the Bible, though.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that the God would be evil in that case unless he knows that he's causing like real suffering. Because
Exactly.
we are experiencing real suffering. Hey, for real hells. Hi, how are you today?
How you doing? Yeah.
Cool.
My name is Tyler, but I go by For Really Is.
Oh, for real he
So
is.
I would.
Oh, well, real quick.
So
Sorry. I just want to get your
yeah,
age and what God you believe in first.
37. And I don't believe in a God in particular. I believe in I am. The overseeing. There's got to be somebody. Because I feel like I know too little. But I
But
will say,
can you like
if
tell
you're
me
looking for my best
what I
evidence of
am
argument,
is? Is it a mind that created the universe? I think that's kind of the baseline for this discussion.
uh, yeah. Well, it gets tricky for me because I ghost hunt on the side, so uh, I've dealt with things that I can't explain. So I was just like you, my dude, like atheist, agnostic, didn't believe any of that shit. A buddy asked me to go ghost hunting with
Ghost
him,
busting, yeah.
and yeah, yeah, and I felt some shit, seen some shit, heard some shit that I cannot explain. Uh, with that, my thought process about the whole spiritual understanding has changed. So, do I think there's like this giant guy in the sky who fucking makes all the rules? I hope not, because he doesn't do a very good job.
But you believe in something. You
But
said you believe in I am. So what
yeah,
is I am?
yeah. So for me, the I am is probably like the soul collective of all life and living things collectively. I think that at the end of the day, we are God. I think that
Hmm.
our power of human beings holds some weight within the universe.
Why call it
So
I am, if you don't mind my asking? Like, that's a very specific Bible reference. And then you go on to describe something very much not biblical and the idea of a
yeah,
God. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So why the I am?
It's just it's the most recognized ideology of what the understanding of something bigger than greater than everything that I can't explain. So I don't necessarily know if my terminology is the best terminology for that, and I'll admit
What
that.
about like
I'm
the
still
big
working that
one?
shit out.
I would say the
Uh,
big one is like
yeah,
encompassing something that's really
yeah, the
big
big
because
one.
that's how you're describing it. And also I am makes it sound like you're
Yeah,
Christian.
yeah. Oh, I hear you. Well, I grew up in Christian faith, so that's like the closest denominator that I
I'm
have
gonna call it the
to
big one
that
if you don't
retro.
mind.
So, yeah, that's cool. The big one is cool. Uh, I just after all the time that I've been in haunted places, spirits speak of God in a sense uh, through spirit boxes. I've had evil entities follow me home, and I've had have cleansing through different spiritual situations. Typically, I go to a witch or somebody who's aligned with that aspect to cleanse outside of the church because the church freaks me out. I've never liked the church. I've always thought there was problems within the church. We see that within Catholic churches. So, like, I'm not messing with any of that.
It kind
But
of sounds like you don't believe in a God.
It's yeah, like I
eh,
was gonna say, like
yeah,
it sounds
no,
like you believe in a lot of I think you believe in a lot of crazy shit, and don't get me wrong, but the big one you said is the collective of all the creatures, like all the people and stuff. And I believe in a collective of people, but I wouldn't say I believe in God. I think you would be using God as a misnomer here.
plausibly. But the big thing is though, if I don't know shit about the spiritual world, could there be more? That's the question that I have. So I can't definitively say absolutely there is no God anymore. So I guess I'm more on the agnostic route. You
I want to
know?
lightly suggest you may have had unexplainable experiences, but those experiences are just that, unexplainable. To attribute them to a spirit versus, say, psychic powers of a human invention, for instance, you're just making conjecture and adding in lore to things that you don't really have.
Hmm.
A lot of times this is associated with spirits, and there's a story about it being spirits and stuff, but really that's mostly just assumptions and people tying in something they don't understand to the nearest framework they think has an explanation for it. But like, like there's a reason when you start looking into like people who've been researching this, quote unquote, a long time, you'll find there's overlap between like ghosts and aliens and Bigfoot and all these sorts of things. And it's a lot of times it's because people are experiencing something unknown and then attributing it to a phenomena or a story that is already existing in the cultural zeitgeist. So when you are looking and having experiences and deciding that it is a spirit, that's you projecting your own beliefs onto what you're experiencing, not letting your beliefs be informed by your experience.
I agree. But Tyler, I, what I want to do is talk to theists who believe in a creator God. This is something I think you should get sorted out. Uh, Definitely consider what Rat Soup said. I think he's absolutely right. But thank you for coming up. We do have another guest. Got a couple. Hey, do I just call you four? Oh, wait, I've talked to you before, I think. I recognize your PFP.
Have we? Oh, I have no idea.
Maybe I just saw you on a panel. I don't know. Your PFP looks familiar. Do I call you four?
Yeah, call me four.
Okay, four. So and you are at least 18.
Yeah,
Okay, what God? What God do you believe in?
I believe in Yahweh and Jesus.
All right. Well, Rat Soup and I are atheists. What's your best evidence for God?
My best evidence for a God is the is number one. I would say that there's objective truth and morality, which points to a higher being.
You said
I would
there's
also
truth. You
say
said there's truth and
that
morality.
order and
You're breaking up.
order,
You're
I,
breaking up. Are you saying that there's truth and morality? Is that what you said? Am I breaking up?
yeah,
Rat
I
Soup,
said
can you
that
hear
there's
me?
objective truth
No,
and
you're good.
morality.
There's been big gaps with 4 here. Oh yeah, look at it. His signal just went down all the way. Do you have like Wi-Fi or something for that you might be able to connect to?
Hello, can you hear me? Is it like still bugging out?
You're
Sounds fine.
really, really low bars from what we can tell.
It sounds fine to me currently.
Okay, I got you. Okay. You can still hear me?
I can
I'm
hear you
good.
fine. Yeah, so just start over. So what's your best evidence?
Yeah, so I said that because there's objective truth and morality, and that can only come from a higher being.
Can you
So I
explain what you
believe
mean
that
by
that
that?
points to a supernatural being. So when I say objective truth, I mean that if there is no God, any type of moral framework is a person's bias. Think murder is bad, and you think murder is good, they're equally valid. They have different biases. Of course, society in America, most of society would say that murder is bad. And then in a different age, society would be like, oh, murder is good or something like
Okay.
it's a certain bias, but there's no objective universal truth for it.
Sure. So
And I believe that
how did you
in every
confirm that
situation,
how did
yeah,
you confirm that morality is in fact objective?
I confirm that morality is objective because I believe that number one, based on God and how He ordained certain moral values and moral
Okay, four. I'm going to
objective
stop you
truths,
there
but
and point
also,
something out. I want to stop you right there, just point something out real quick. So I asked you your best evidence for God. You said it was morals. I asked, and you said that they're objective. I asked how you know they're objective. You said God. This is actually a circular argument.
okay, okay. So I know that they're objective because I don't think that grape or like horrible, violent things are good in any place or in any circumstance.
I agree.
We'd
Meaning
agree,
that,
but
I agree with that.
let's real talk. Let's real quick. Let's talk about what subjective versus objective is. Subjective is something that anything that comes from a mind or a stance-based, opinion, right? So if it's coming from a mind or a stance, it's subjective. If it's objective, it's something that's going to be mind or stance independent. That means it doesn't matter what anyone there thinks, or if there's anyone there at all, it's still going to be the case. Like, the sun existing, for instance. So if you're saying morals are objective, you're saying they exist outside of what you or I thinks or believes is right or wrong. Even if you or I, even if every single person
yeah,
agrees and thinks that this is wrong, it's still subjective because it isn't happening entirely within people's minds.
Hmm. For something to
Okay.
be objective,
Yeah.
it would be the objective moral truth
So
would still be true even if God disagreed with it. Like if God said, like let's say that X is objectively morally good. If God said that X is objectively morally bad, God would actually be incorrect about that because there's nothing that the subject God could do about it. It's objective. It's intrinsically good. That's what objective is.
okay, so I guess when I refer to subjective, I refer to only humans and objective as God. I don't believe
That's
that
special
when we
pleading.
talk about
Yeah.
humanism and objective morality, I don't think.
Your signal is kind
I'm
of
sorry,
bugging
I
out
just didn't
again.
finish. I don't. When I hear conversations about, yeah,
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, I don't know if he gave up or if the connection took him, but it didn't seem like it was worth with the connection. I think I've heard him talk before. I don't remember. I don't remember it going well though for him. I think he was crashing out or something. But you know, we all crash out from time to time, so maybe I didn't see his best moment before. I don't remember what the context was. We got a couple of other guests requesting. Let's bring up Mama Sack. I think that's how you pronounce that. S-A-K. Hey, is it Mama Sack? Is
Hi,
that how you pronounce that?
thanks for having me.
Oh,
How are
thanks
you
for being
guys?
here. Are you at least 18?
Yes, I am.
What God do you believe in?
So I do believe in the creator,
The,
you
yeah,
know.
but I mean, every God would be the creator in the context we're
Okay,
talking
okay,
about.
so, well, I guess we're calling him Yahweh, but I've heard some a different term. So there's some confusion on what we call him, but I believe the God of the Bible.
Okay, you're
Gotcha.
Christian? Sure. All right, well, we're both
Well, I
atheists.
don't like that term, but for lack of a better term, I'll take it.
There's a better one actually. So like it's called a Sidak Bivtaj, people who follow the teachings of Jesus but don't necessarily consider themselves to be Christian. That's the term that's kind of growing in popularity. So you could just make it simple and call yourself a Sidak Bivtaj.
Well, that's new to me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Happy to
just
help.
heard that I heard that Christianity, the term Christian, actually began with a negative connotation.
Oh,
But I'd
maybe.
like to share, yeah, answer your question about my best evidence and what I typed in the comments earlier. It is an enigma, so I can't necessarily prove to you, but I can tell you my own experience was um, I was dealing with a severe,
I don't
like
want to
severe gut.
I don't want to cut you off, but if it's
Oh,
going to be
sorry.
anecdotal, it won't actually be productive for the conversation.
Okay. Well,
I don't honestly think that there is any like empirical evidence, so I don't really
okay.
expect any. I kind of expect philosophical arguments. Not to say that if you have something
I
that like is
gotcha. I
empirical
got
evidence,
both.
I'd be
I
happy
kind
for
of
that.
have both. I have a personal experience with a energy and healing, but I also have other evidence. And the Bible, obviously, they took away the books that, later were found as the Dead Sea Scrolls that gave the Bible more detail. So it's been hidden, the details have been hidden for a reason. And then there's been all kinds of fake science created to get people not to believe in God, but
Like what?
real science proves the Bible.
What science was created specifically to get people to disbelieve in God?
I'm not ready to delve I'm not ready to delve into that yet because I know that'll be attacked like crazy, but the Bible actually is the only book or collection of books that all the prophecies to date have come true.
No, that's
You've
that's
got
not true. Jesus doesn't
Nostradamus.
actually fulfill a single one of the prophecies in the Old Testament.
I'm not talking about Jesus. Did I mention Jesus?
You
Well, there
mentioned
are,
prophecies.
you said all of the prophecies in the Bible, so it would have to include
I
the messianic
said that the
prophecies.
I said that the Bible is the only written works that is 100% correct to date of prophecies coming true. There are other people that
And that simply
had
isn't the case.
prophecies, and some of them came true, but not all of them. And the Bible is the only one that's been consistent with them all coming true, and they're
So
continuing to
Rat
come
Rat Soup
true.
did just say that there are prophecies in the Bible about Jesus being the Messiah, and you said you aren't
Hmm.
talking about those, but you did already say that every single prophecy in the Bible has come true, so that would have to include the messianic prophecies, no?
Well, sure. I mean, I do believe
Right.
he is the Messiah, but there's also a group of, people in the media, Hollywood people pretending to be Christians and worshiping Jesus while all along they're pointing downward and doing the Diablo sign and laughing, and they're saying, "Who are we
Mm-hmm.
worshiping?" It begins with an L, and because they want people to believe in Jesus because they're planning on bringing out a fake Jesus, a fake Messiah, and the Bible warns us
Sounds like
about that.
conspiracy. Can you give us an
It
example
does. It sure
of
does.
a
It does.
prophecy? Like what's the first one that comes to mind when you are asked to give an example?
So, forgive me for not being a super expert, but I know in Isaiah it talks about, and this is the thing, is that we are not being made aware of everything that's going on in the world.
Well,
Our
I just
media
want
is
an answer to the
selective.
question before
But
you
I'm going to
pivot to
tell
something
you
else.
that one of the things that come to mind is the massive dying off. I know this will sound trivial to you, but massive dying off of birds and fish. And
Is
it's
this a
been
prophecy?
happening. Yes, and it's been
Where's
happening
the prophecy?
for, in my awareness, it's been happening for over 10 years because
Hello?
I've seen
On the sec.
reports of it.
Can you tell
It's
us
in
real quick where?
Isaiah, and
Yeah, do you
I
remember
don't
where?
know where it is
Am
in
I coming
Isaiah.
through?
You
It's
are?
in
Yeah.
Isaiah? You said it's a
It's in
prophecy in
Isaiah, but I
Isaiah
don't
about birds
remember
and fish
where.
dying?
About like massive amounts of unexplained deaths of birds and fish. That's
Okay.
one.
But
Okay,
like,
so
where can we
that's
find that prophecy?
yeah.
But it's happening, and people aren't really aware of it. But
But it's in the
you
Bible, so
know,
like
we.
right? So where can I turn to read it so we can check that out?
I mean, I'll have to look it up. It's in Isaiah somewhere.
Okay. I'm already in Isaiah, so you let
But
me know the chapter and verse and I'll flip right there.
I will look it up. The like the
Are you looking it up while you're
excessive.
talking?
I'm going on. I'm not going to go on my phone since I'm going to go on the computer.
Okay.
Just the increase of knowledge in the last days, the increase of natural disasters, these are all in Revelation. I mean, I wasn't prepared to get into a debate, so forgive me for not having a lot of specific, you know, res, you know,
Well, I
resource.
mean, this should be like the easiest thing for you to back up is the first place you went to for your justification.
The bottom line is it has to do with life experience and knowledge of the Bible and seeing what's actually going on in the world and seeing
Well,
how
then we
this
can
is
switch to a
all
different prophecy,
playing
baby, if you want
out.
to do that.
Huh?
We can switch to a different prophecy as well. If you know a different prophecy, we can go to that one and see if it's been fulfilled. You said there was lots, right?
Well, yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. But
We'd
like
love
I
to
said,
open up the Bible with you if you know the verses. You're talking about Bible knowledge. Let's get into it. You know what I mean?
sure. I'm gonna check, but let's see. I mean, Christ was prophesied in Isaiah, and in Genesis, God talked about the seed of the woman being like the enemy to the devil, and the whole way the world's gone has been like anti-woman because of Lucifer, not because of God, because God's word says that everyone's equal, man, women, any color, all of this and that. People go against God because
Well, it
it's
does say
anti this, it's anti
that
that, and it's
man
not.
is made in God's image and woman is made in the
Mhm.
image of man, so they have to wear a hijab as a sign of of being subservient. So there actually is a hierarchy outlined
Mhm.
in the Bible that's contrary to what you're
That's
talking about,
that's the Quran, not the Bible.
No, that's Paul. It's the Bible.
Paul.
There's a lot of misinterpretations because I was going to a church, a Bible-based church, and I stopped going because
Because it was Bible
they
based.
are discriminating against. I mean, they're nice people. I'm not mad at them, but they're misinformed because you can take any scripture and you can, if you isolate something rather than comparing it to the whole example of the whole Bible, you can take it off into the wrong direction. And I know for a fact that the Bible says that men and women are equal.
It says
And
that
Jesus,
we're
when
equal
he,
in salvation, like equal in Christ, right? But
okay,
not
well,
like in a hierarchy here on earth in our societies.
uh,
Women are
I
basically like
I
wives are
disagree. I
basically
disagree
property in the
because
Bible.
Lucifer has brainwashed people since the beginning of time because he knew that Jesus Christ, the Messiah, who's going to be his demise, is going to come from the woman. So the Bible says in Genesis about the seed of the woman
The woman.
being, I'm
Which
just
woman?
paraphrasing, but at war with the
Because like
devil,
because
basically.
every person who exists comes from the seed of a woman or like a female,
Right.
right? So
But
I
but
mean, this could
but
be
Lucifer
anybody.
knew that the Messiah was going to come from the birth of a woman, and the Apostle Paul in the New Testament, he was not a fan of marriage or anything
Okay.
like this, but
So the
he
prophecy
said,
is
I have the
like
whole.
he's going to be born from a woman and he was born from a woman. I mean, that seems like a very trivial prophecy
That's not what I am. Didn't say that about being a prophecy. I'm saying that the
because we're
prophecy
talking about prophecies.
was about Lucifer being at war with the woman and the seed of the woman. So the women have been basically, put in a different light and mistreated throughout history, where
I,
rabbis, if they saw a woman walking down the street, they would cross the street and
so,
walk on the other side
Mama Sack,
because of the
I think we're getting way off
brainwashing.
topic here. I just kind of want to refocus.
Okay,
Trying to get
sorry.
the best evidence for God. You brought up prophecies. You said you're looking one up. So let's just get into the substance here.
Okay. All right, let's see. I mean, in the book of Revelation, there's a lot, and this is all what's going on. But let's see. Um, all right, I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. I'm not seeing what I'm looking for in Isaiah, but what does the Bible say about the birds and the air, the fish of the sea? Well, I mean, it's a minor prophecy, but like I said, in Revelation, with all of the natural disasters going on, and the prophecies about the third temple being built, they've been trying to build that for years. They've had the I don't know if it's the keystone or the cornerstones, but they've tried to take them up to the mount like year after year. They've
Mm-hmm.
reinstated like a special breed of cattle for the sacrifices. I mean,
So it hasn't happened
the
yet,
way
but
the
it
whole
could
world is
happen.
going, is described in the Bible,
I
especially in
just
the
need
book of
like a specific
Revelation,
example that we can like really look at and analyze.
that we can debate. Okay.
Yeah, you're describing stuff that like is setting up for prophecy that might happen someday, but we're looking for, like you
No,
said, that there's fulfilled prophecy. You know what I mean?
yes, there is. There's many, 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 many
We
fulfilled
just need one, you know?
Okay, I'm trying.
Hey, Caroline.
Because
Hey,
we'd like to lightly
Smiles.
suggest that there isn't any fulfilled prophecies.
I get you. You should be skeptical. You should ask questions, but I just not, like I said, in the best position right now to give you the answers I'd like to. But when people do like open up to know God, he will make himself known. And that's why I said earlier, it's an enigma and you can have a personal experience. And what I was going to say about Paul, even though he didn't care to be married himself, he said, I have the Holy Spirit. And he wrote about how a man should love the woman as himself, treat him, basically the way that his body's not his own and neither is hers. Like he talked about an equal thing. That does not come from a man who says it's better to marry than burn. Like he wasn't about that, but he knew what God created and what God's intention were. And he talked about the equality, especially the equality in marriage.
Okay, so are you getting to the prophecy?
I cannot find the specific one about the freaking massive dying off of birds and fish, but that's been happening.
We don't need that one. We can do any of them.
Any of them.
Okay, let's see.
I also want to point out that Paul also said that women should fear their husbands, and that just as Jesus is master of the church, men are master of their wives.
It's not looking good. Where's the one? I was looking for something too here. Where's where does Jesus, you might know about Soup, where he says he's gonna return in their lifetime? That's a prophecy we could look at.
That is Mount. That's Sermon on the Mount, I believe, is part of that. Let me look that up real quick.
If
Yeah,
all the
I
prophecies
mean,
are true, this one would have to be true.
all right. Well, the thing is AI is not of God, so it might be screwing me over right now.
Amen to that.
All right, well, I
Yeah,
have I have people who are waiting, so I'll talk to you next
yeah,
time.
go ahead.
Whenever you can find your sources. Sorry, everybody, didn't mean to make you wait around for literally nothing, but we're gonna fix that. Let's bring up the next guest. Maybe they'll actually have something prepared. Hey, Jabron, are you at least 18? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, here we go. Matthew 16:28. There be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
Yeah. I think there's another one that's like from another gospel that says a similar thing too.
Yeah, Mark.
That obviously didn't happen. Hey, Traffic, are you at least 18?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I believe in God of the Bible,
All right, so we're both
which
atheists.
is
What's your best
God the
evidence for God?
Father, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost.
Okay, so what's your best evidence for God?
Okay. The best evidence for God is the creation.
What creation? A creation of the universe?
Creation of everything. Time, space, and matter.
Okay. Explain how you confirmed that time, space, and matter were created.
All of them should have came at the same time.
Why?
I don't know that.
Because if there's no space, where you put the matter?
Right, but why couldn't, like, say, time have been eternal, for instance?
Or what? I mean, like, what if you had space and time, then matter came later?
You cannot have. All of them came at the same time.
Citation needed. Like, why should we believe that? That's what we're asking.
Well, if you're an atheist, I believe you believe in a Big Bang, right?
Well, it doesn't matter what we believe. We're asking you for your reason.
Well, I'm telling you because even the science says that these three came together instantaneously.
No,
That's
there's no
not what the Big Bang
there's,
describes.
there's no science that says that.
Okay.
There are apologists that lie and say that science says that. You might be thinking of one of them, but science doesn't actually say
Okay,
that.
so what was first? Time, space, or matter? Which one was first?
I think it's a faulty question. I would say that space and time are likely equally eternal, and matter I'm not so sure about. But I don't think that
equally
you. I
eternal.
think you could have. Yeah, I think you could have a universe where just the energy in it exists without any matter existing.
That's impossible.
What's the
That's
contradiction?
that's God. What you're talking about, that's God.
You think the universe is God?
No.
Then it's
Universe
not.
it's
Then it's not God. I was talking about the
universe
universe.
universe it's created. Our God is not contained by the universe.
What makes you
Not
think the
contained by
universe?
time.
I need to know how you concluded that the universe is created.
I just told you.
No, you asked me a question which came first, but that's assuming that it actually had a beginning. So explain to me how you concluded that the
Well,
universe is finite or has a beginning.
if you believe that the universe was forever eternal, that's the same way I believe God is eternal.
Sure, but the thing is, we have existence. We have, I'm sorry, evidence for a universe. We don't have evidence for a God. So, like, there's better reason to think there's an eternal universe than there's an eternal God.
It would win on parsimony at the very least, unless you can demonstrate that the universe certainly has a beginning.
Okay. We are not gonna get anywhere because obviously you guys are not believing in science.
This is
You're
what the
not
Big
majority of
believing
Bang.
in it.
cosmologists believe these days.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not gonna get anywhere. I just telling you, these things were solved by the Bible in Genesis first chapter, first verse. In the beginning, which
Mm-hmm.
is time, God created
Mm-hmm.
heavens, which is space, and the earth, matter.
Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, so does it ever say that God created time? It says in the beginning. You said which is time. So in time, God created it. Where in the Bible does it say that time was created?
In fact, if you look at the translation, it's more accurately translated to "at the beginning of creation."
Okay, so that's the Big Bang. That's what I believe.
That's
Though
If
the
you can
majority of
disprove,
cosmologists would disagree with you
if
on
you
that.
have an intelligent uh, and solid proof that space, time, and matter were not at the same time, didn't came instantaneously, then yes, I'm wrong. But they should have came at the same time.
Yeah, well, if they both always existed, then you could say they both came at the same time. Which, by the way, coming at the same time
Well,
is what you want
you
in all aspects of life, I think.
cannot say that they both existed, because then it will be easier for me to say that God existed.
How so? I don't know
God
how
is
that
eternal
follows. If we say that time and space are eternal, how does that get us to God existing?
because it's the law of thermodynamics.
God is the law of thermodynamics?
No. I'm saying is that everything was created, time, space, and matter.
Do you know what the first law of thermodynamics is?
Tell me.
Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it's actually the opposite of what you just said.
Okay.
so. If energy cannot be created, what does that mean about energy? Traffic.
Okay, guys. I'm out of here. I'm not gonna try.
All right.
I suggest look into this
W
a little bit more.
concession. You can
Yeah,
still
just
talk
look
to him.
into an
He's still
eternal
listening.
universe.
Yeah, look into it. Yeah, he's gonna get out of here. Fair enough. I don't have a response to it either. That's why I say the things that I say. If I didn't think that, if I thought that there was a reasonable refutation for the things that we're talking about, then I would not be saying these things still. So, um, good on him for not trying to like make up things on the fly, at least. Hey, Victor, you at least 18.
Yeah,
All right, what God?
43.
Great. What God do you believe in?
Uh, God, but the Bible, I'm Christian.
Okay, so we're both atheists. What's your best evidence for God?
I don't have one.
Do you have an argument?
No, so my point is that no one who comes in here is gonna have one. And so I
Hmm.
guess I guess I know that me and every Christian who logs into the chat live and you ask, do you have evidence? We don't have one. We don't have
Yeah,
evidence.
that's kind of what I'm trying to
So,
demonstrate.
so
So that's an astute
yeah,
observation.
sure. So no one has any evidence. So I guess what's the point
To show that nobody
of,
has evidence, like the belief is not justified if you can't demonstrate that it's true, and if you
right,
can't demonstrate that it's true, it's not justified that we ought not believe in it.
sure. So what? Like this is gonna go on forever in circles because you're not gonna get anyone who's gonna show you evidence ever in this
Yeah,
chat. So what's the point?
to
It's going
show
to
that
increase the
nobody can
trend.
do it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead,
Yep,
Rat
yep.
Soup.
So no one can do it. No one can do it. No one has
Mhm.
evidence. So now what?
It's
Then
going to
what?
increase the trend of an increasingly secular society where more and more people realize they don't need religion or any other cult as a part of their life.
Uh,
So we're just spreading the awareness of that.
yeah, and Victor,
Sure.
I would
And
wonder
and,
why,
and
like, if you don't have evidence or even an argument for God's existence, I'm perplexed as to why you're a Christian.
well, that's my own problem, I guess, right? But
You would
But like
be
and
you'd
genuinely
be
why?
admitting
that
that
would
your
be
belief
there
isn't
would be
justified.
million. So yeah, you question something that you questioning millions of people, just know me. You questioning there's millions of people who have this faith with no evidence. So and I get you're not gonna get anyone to answer your question ever. And that's part of the show and everything. But
Seeming like the
you
trend,
can be
yeah.
a really good person. I can be a really good person. I believe in God. You don't believe in God, and then nothing changes. There will be no nothing is wrong with that.
I've convinced people to stop believing in God, so I'm doing the good work.
That's what you believe,
Well,
right?
they've told me.
Right.
You believe you're doing the good work by doing that. But if I believe in God and I don't really become a bad person or anything, and you don't believe in God and you live the exact same life as I do, no damaging anyone, just living our lives, at the end of the day, it didn't make any difference in the world, your life and my life, living the same life, me believing in God and you not believing in God.
Well,
So there
secularism
was there
is
was nothing there was
increasing.
nothing wrong. There
Secularism
was
is
nothing wrong
increasing, and
with
that's a trend. I mean,
sure.
if we all stopped arguing against the baseless claims of religions, then people would just spread religion without thinking like crazy, and we would
And and
we would
what?
live in chaos. Because
Well, I don't
religion
live.
is
I don't.
dogmatic, and religion refuses to compromise. When one religion
But
meets another,
my
they
life,
war.
yeah,
When one
my
denomination meets
life
another
is
denomination, they split further. If they disagree on doctrine, they never converge. They
sure,
split.
sure,
When we talk about things like science, people who disagree will agree. Science converges when new evidence, when people talk to each other and share their evidence and their data and their discoveries, science converges and becomes more and more of a monolith, more unified, because it's based
sure.
on empiricism, it's based on uh, real shit, not just some arbitrary dogma.
Yeah. So my life is no chaos, and yours isn't either. And we believe in two different completely things, and we are gonna eventually die, both of us, because we're gonna have an end. That's proven. So your life living it without believing, my life living in believing, and me not showing you evidence, and people who are gonna log into this chat never gonna show you evidence. It's not gonna change anything.
I think
Cut
that
out on us.
yeah, I think that it can speak volumes to the people who are on the fence. The people who are on the fence who watch this, they'll see that nobody who can come up here can provide any evidence. So maybe I should withhold belief in this God idea. And I think it's great that your life's not in chaos. I'm not saying that if you're a theist that your life is going to be crazy and chaotic. I'm saying that if everybody in the world believed in some kind of religious dogma, it would be utter chaos.
But that's never gonna happen.
Well, that's great. I mean, if we stop pushing back on it,
That's
then
never
it
gonna
could.
happen. I mean, it's obvious that people are not gonna believe on the same thing, regardless in which side you stay.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's never gonna
Anyway,
happen.
Victor,
It's
I
always
am
gonna
trying to
be
talk to
divided.
people who want to at least attempt at
Yeah,
this, but thank
yeah.
you for coming up.
You're gonna.
I wish you the
Sure,
best,
you
man.
just keep going in circles.
Yeah, we are going in circles. I agree.
Mm.
All right, guys, let's bring up the next one.
I
This
also
is
just think being a Christian is bad for the Christian more often than not.
Yeah,
I
I mean, I
think
didn't
supporting the
realize until I
Christian
was
is
out of it.
just
Hey,
being a
Sala.
Christian is bad for the Christian more often than not.
Oh, wait, there's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
horrible
I didn't
echo.
realize until I was out of it. Hey, Sala.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, Sala, you got a terrible echo. I'm gonna have to. If you figure out what's going on with that, then request backup. But it's a really bad echo. Okay, let's bring up Mike. Hey, Mike, are you Lisa
Yeah.
Teen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what
Excuse me
God do you
while I
believe in?
work on some here. Well, it doesn't particularly have a name. Give me 3 seconds here.
All right, you got three. All right, cool. Yeah, sure.
One point
Okay,
one
here we
Mississippi.
go.
I didn't want to count.
So,
Yeah, that was a good one.
yeah. Um, Hi. Um,
Hey, so tell
so,
me about your
so,
God. I just want to make sure that this is like the same thing we're talking about because we had a couple
well, right.
conversations where
I've
people were
been.
saying that the universe is God, and I believe in the universe, so that's
No, no,
not
no,
what I'm
no, no,
talking
no.
about.
I'm talking more about kind of more like a Moses God or a Muhammad God or a Joseph Smith God, meaning
An Abrahamic God.
someone that sees things that stifle all of their reason to such an extent that they know that what they've experienced is not native to empiricism or to the norms of the natural world. So,
Oh,
in
so you got
other
an empirical
words,
one.
well, and yet, I was trying to think how do I broach this again with atheists, as prior to seeing these events, two different events, um, approximately 3 years apart. They I was a secular atheist myself, so I was dumbfounded by these events,
Hmm.
and one of them I saw with my girlfriend at the time,
I
and
hate to interrupt
without.
you, Mike. Before we get into the story here, first, I think we
Oh, I
really
won't.
need
I
to
won't get into the story.
we need the definition of like the God you believe in. Still, do you believe in like a personal creator God deity? Like, what are the
Well,
attributes of your God?
all I'm thinking is this, right? This is how I would justify it. Is when you guys were busy talking about the beginning of the universe and time and space, is that you guys believe in, you've heard of string theory, right? Which gets to 10 dimensions, right? You've heard
Yeah,
of 10
heard of
dimensional
that.
science, physics, right? So if we're living in 3 dimensions, and then we have the fourth dimension of time, and that's where we live, right? But if string theory evidences 10 dimensions, then if you have what's called a codomain, right, in mathematics, right, a codomain would be similar to like the yolk of an egg has both the whites around it in the egg, and or which would be translucent in the egg, and then the egg shell would be the codomain. So you have the domain around the yolk, and then you have the shell also around the yolk, which is the codomain. And so you can have a higher dimension, like you could say that the yolk is in the third dimension. Let's say the codomain or the domain
Is
is the
this leading
fourth
up to your
dimension.
definition of God?
It is, right? And so, but then if the
Can you
codomain is the
get
sixth
there?
dimension, well, if you're really interested in having pushback, you got to give me a second just
I
to build
mean,
it, right? Because
you shouldn't. I
so
mean,
what?
you should be able to very quickly just give the definition
I
of your God before you
well,
give the
so
explanation.
you knew what a codomain was, right?
No, but you
Well,
can still give me the
okay. So the,
definition.
the definition of something of a higher dimension, right? So a codomain that shares a higher dimension, you could have an intelligence in a higher dimension above this dimension. And
I agree
so,
with that. But I mean, you're saying
right,
that that's what you believe in, like an intelligence that just
yeah,
exists meta
that
to us.
it's the only way that I've been able to reason about how these super phenomena showed up,
So
and I
that would
cannot
like
demonstrate.
you wouldn't say that's necessarily a creator of the universe. Then it's just an intelligence that exists in
No,
a
no,
meta
there's
dimension.
no sense in saying it's a creator of the universe. But I have speculated that if you guys believed like that, let's say Vulcans or alien races were so hyper, much more intelligent than we are, that they themselves would function as a stand-in for what we're calling God.
Well, here's kind of our thing is when we talk about a God, we are talking about pretty much a triomni being, a creator being. So like there's not even there's not I don't even necessarily have problems with the idea of an extremely powerful being that exists somewhere. But that's
But
not what I
but why
mean
wouldn't
when
you
I
call
say
that God?
God. And I
So
don't
you
think
guys
that's
are
what most of us mean when we say
Yeah,
God.
we're
well,
not
You,
wait,
talking
wait, but
about.
you're
now,
using a bit of an idiosyncratic definition for your
well,
belief,
no, but
which
you're
I think is
bound to
your
the
belief is fine. Don't
Abrahamics, are
get me
you
wrong,
not?
but I just don't think it's quite matching up with what we're talking about. You
Well,
know?
I know, but so your atheism is to a specific Abrahamic coded textual God,
It's
right? When you guys
against
talk
No.
about the
my
concept
atheism
of a
isn't
God,
a creator of an intelligent creator of the universe. I don't believe in
well,
that,
but
whether it's
but
Abrahamic or
but
otherwise.
if I say I agree with that, or I don't have a dog in that fight, right, about whether or not what it is that's an intelligence that's a more intelligent and of a higher dimension that moves through this dimension. The claim that it's the beginning or the creator of the universe is not up for debate. Nonetheless, it's of something higher, and it eclipses. Therefore, it suffices as a god
Mike, it's just
that
not what
is
we're
not a
talking about
textual
tonight.
god.
It's just not what we're talking about,
Again, well, and
So,
that's fine. But then let me just end with this, and then I'll let you guys kick me. But so it appears that you guys are not actually atheists. You guys are atheists to a strict text definition, and that you're pushing back on that. And so that seems as if that's clear.
I
fair
Since you
think
enough.
already
what
granted
you
us.
find worthy of worship just isn't in the definition of God. If you look up what God is, even if you look up sort of more philosophical definitions of God, I just don't believe what you're talking about
Hmm.
is a God.
Yeah. I didn't expect to get the "you guys aren't atheists" thing from the way he was talking. I didn't think that he would go there. Um, it's like a really normally there's a whole different type of individual that says that. Hey, Jabron, are you working this time?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
There you are. All right, you list 18.
Yo,
Okay, what God do you believe in?
Man, rest in peace, Chuck Norris, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's who that is. Yeah. Yeah. Rip in
yeah.
peace.
So I accept the Islamic definition of God to be the most rational.
Okay.
I don't know that
So
one.
great. So what's your best evidence?
I wouldn't say I have one best evidence. I think it's a preponderance of many evidences put
It's
together.
exciting. All right, let's pick your favorite then.
I don't have a favorite.
All
I,
right
I've never
then.
sat down and be like, this is my favorite evidence.
All
I
right.
think it's
Well,
just the life experience that has compounded the the certainty and the belief in God more and more. The more I learn about reality, the more I speak to atheists or Christians or whatever it might be.
what's something you could present to
So I
us
don't know
that
where.
might be compelling at least?
Yeah. So in order to have a coherent discussion, I think we should lay some ground rules on what we consider, like good definitions to work with, like what is truth, what is knowledge, what is evidence, and what is it that we're trying to ascertain here. So yeah, once we are clear on our presuppositions, then I can bring forth some arguments. But yeah, I would like bring, maybe the kalam arguments are pretty strong. I would say contingency and causality. I would say more argument for morality is pretty solid. Argument from teleology makes a lot of sense. So for me, like, something is true because it's more likely to be true. So I don't claim to be a all-knowing entity, right? No one does. So
Mm-hmm.
my epistemology works within a limited framework, which is probabilistic in nature, and either every proposition is, either it's a yes or no, or true or
Mm.
false. Like
No, I
either
like
God
that.
exists
Right.
or
Yeah, like
doesn't,
there's a
right? So
logical law of excluded middle. It's either a yes
Yeah.
or no. It's a true or not true. And we don't really. I mean, I'm kind of in the same camp as you. I don't claim to have access to absolute knowledge about anything really. So I obviously am basing my knowledge on pragmatism and, like you said, probability a lot of the time, right? Um, but yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know that
So
we need to necessarily
yeah.
hammer out all these terms before we can address them as they become relevant. But I can at least give you truth because I think that I like to consider truth that which comports to reality as adjudicated by predictive power.
It has to be coherent.
Yeah, well, if I
You
can't,
accept the
if I
coherent.
like if it's not coherent, then I can't really make heads or tails of it, so I can't say that it's true. So yeah,
Right.
I think that's kind of goes without saying.
There's a little bit of, I can't think of an example which might be correspondent to reality but non-coherent, but I'm sure that there's some overlap there. But
Well, I mean,
for
there
me,
are
like,
centuries of debate around this that are not going to get settled tonight before we move on.
Yeah. So just
and also
give
like,
us one of the arguments. Let's hear it.
yeah. So if I had to prove why why I ought to worship the Islamic God, I would start with um, the first premise being that something exists. I would then say that existence has explanation. Either that explanation or that existence is either contingent or non-contingent. So going down that route, I can get to a necessary uncaused entity that is the most rational position out of all the other
Hmm.
possibilities. Um,
My initial question would be, why
then
does it have to be an entity and not just a state of being or a state of the universe?
you mean like a unintelligent physical cause
Yeah.
without a authority
I
to
mean,
kind
because we have
of.
no evidence of minds existing outside of bodies. As far as our evidence shows, minds are something that bodies do. They come from physical form. So I haven't seen evidence of a mind existing outside of a body. So to assume that this, even if there, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but even assuming there is a beginning state to the universe, why should we assume that base beginning ground is intelligent in any way?
Yeah, but that's a presupposition, right? Like,
Well, that's I
I
guess
wouldn't
that's what I'm
say.
asking. Why should we assume that it's intelligent? You know what I
No,
mean?
he's arguing from
I mean,
parsimony.
that's.
Like we don't add it until we have reason to.
I mean, that's the only definition of God I ought to care about if it does exist. Like,
Well,
why should
right,
I
but
care
you're
about it?
proposing that this exists. We're saying why should we believe that, and you're saying what exactly?
Yeah, well, you're saying why am I defining God to be intelligent as opposed to non-intelligent? Like,
No, no,
is
no,
that your
no. I'm
question?
saying you talked about the need in your argument for an establishing ground, which, like, again, just for the discussion of this, if there is a need for an establishing ground, you called it a being. Why does that establishing ground have to be a being and not just simply a state of the universe, unintelligent?
Because that's my definition of God. Unless you have a definition of God that I should care about.
I mean, I
So
just don't know why we would think that this is the case, though. I mean, I could say the same thing. Like, can you actually run through your? It was so premise one was something exists, and premise two. Can you remind me what your premises were here again?
Yeah, wait a second. I have it written down somewhere.
I need to start
Um,
putting these things up on the screen. Why don't I do that? You know what I mean? Let me see if I can do something like that.
actually, so I would say premise one is something exists. Um, and then we hashed out the whole issue with the truth. Like you accept the objective truth does exist, right?
I believe objective,
There's no
yeah,
need
I
for that.
believe that objective truth exists. I just don't think we have access to absolute truths as far as our knowing what they are.
Yeah, so to answer your question about intelligent being versus not a non-being or physical force, I would say it has to do with the definition of like something with a greater consequence deserve greater concern,
I thought we were going to
right?
go back to
So
the premises. I'm sorry. Can we
Yeah,
go? Can we do that
yeah,
again?
yeah. Can
I
we
want
do
to keep
the
this
okay,
linear.
premises?
okay. So something exists. Whatever exists is either explained or unexplained. Okay, that's a dichotomy right there. If reality is ultimately unexplained, then rational inquiry is abandoned, right? And then it would lead to the conclusion, therefore, we should seek an ultimate explanation of existence. So
Okay, so yeah, then
that's,
you just added God afterwards, and that wasn't part of the argument.
um, I mean, I thought I defined God
Okay, so yeah, I guess so.
initially.
But
So
my whole point initially was that your argument doesn't necessarily point to only a God. That was my whole thing. So if you just are okay with that, then we could just move on.
Yeah, so then the next the next part of the P1 or P1 P2, I would say, like I don't have it numbered, but I would say that the ultimate explanation is either dependent or independent. If it is dependent, then it requires a further explanation. And the ultimate explanation cannot require a further explanation. So that's by definition that if something is ultimate or necessary, it does not require further explanation. Do you agree with that?
If something is ultimate that does not require further explanation.
Yeah, if something is necessary.
If
So
something is
the ultimate explanation of things would be independent. This is more of like if P then Q then not Q then not P, something like that. So
It's not super intuitive. I'd like to hear some support for it. I'm willing to grant it for now, to be honest, because I don't see anything immediately wrong with it, but it's not super intuitive to me, to be honest.
so it's not intuitive to you if I say that the independent ultimate explanation of reality is either necessary or contingent.
So like
Because only
a necessary explanation being like 1 + 1 = 2. Like I would say like where it just is it is because it is. Is that what you mean?
Like it's brute.
yeah, by necessary I mean it's a brute fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. So yeah,
So
if
the
something's a
ultimate
brute
explain.
fact, it's not going
So
to have further explanation.
okay, hold on.
Yeah. So the ultimate explanation for reality is a brute fact. Like we don't need to look
I
further
actually agree with
question.
that. I actually agree with that already. I think that at some point something's brute. Okay, so pre-1 is something you like how I just threw this together? I hadn't exists.
Also, if you agree with me so far, I don't think we have to go back to the P1 because I don't have it memorized. I'm just going off of like.
Okay. Well,
Well, we're gonna have to make sure that the inference rules for the argument make sense and stuff like that too. You know what I mean? So it's worth having.
I went through the
Maybe-
trouble of putting up the notepad. I
Okay,
had
how about we start over here? We start like whatever is caused depends on its cause.
okay.
How about we start there?
Ooh, that's a little different than
what
anything we
about
talked
like?
about.
Okay, so
Whatever is caused depends on its cause.
Would you want to say is contingent on its cause or depends?
Depends on its cause. There's might be a slight difference in definition, but
Okay.
I'm okay with dependence. So premise 3, I think this should be P1. Just you could get rid of P1 over here, but the second one is P1. Then P2 would be a necessary reality cannot depend on anything. So therefore, the necessary reality is uncaused.
A
Yeah, I'm
I
hearing a
don't know
clicking
how-
noise. Is that someone's? Is that your fan or something in the background? Are you driving? I don't know.
No, just I'm parked.
Oh, is it like the
It's hazards, right?
hazards?
Yeah, I'm pulled over on a highway.
Fair enough,
Whatever
fair
is okay. So premise 1, whatever is caused depends on its cause. Premise 2, a necessary reality cannot depend on anything. And is there a third
Yeah, so-
premise or a conclusion next?
No. So conclusion would be therefore the necessary reality is uncaused.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with the syllogism. How does this get us to
Me
God?
too.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. So P, what is that? P2, right? So P3 would be, I mean, the same argument, but like for like, whatever begins to exist depends on something explaining its beginning. The necessary reality depends on nothing. So therefore, the necessary reality did not begin to exist.
Sure.
Which
So
is
that
similar.
that leads us to where we
Yeah.
believe that the universe is eternal.
Yeah, that's how we got to where we are.
Where did the universe come in this? Because I haven't defined the universe, nor have you.
Well, we have
We're talking
the
about
necessary
reality.
reality is uncaused. Reality is synonymous with the universe in the way we're using it.
Mm,
Because we know that the
Reality's
universe,
synonymous with-
here, like we know that the universe at least already exists. We are aware that it exists. So the necessary reality could be the universe or some facet of the universe. But if we think that it's explained by something metaphysical, we'd have to demonstrate that in order to be justified in believing that. And if we want to get specific, it's even worse. Like we gotta have justification for the specifics about this thing's attributes.
In short, I think
Okay,
you'd have to argue
okay,
that the universe did in
okay.
fact begin
So
to
we can,
exist at a certain point.
yeah, we can jump into the next phase of it, like defining what a universe actually is. So far we agree that the necessary reality is eternal. Like that's the conclusion so far. So I would say I would define universe to mean the totality of contingent physical reality, which includes space, time, matter, energy, physical laws, and physical states.
We can't accept a definition that includes and reads in the word contingent if we believe the universe is necessary. You know what I mean? We just can't agree on a
Mhm.
definition if you're going to work that word into there.
I believe that the
Okay.
things within the
Yeah,
universe,
I mean,
like something that's in the causal chain, would be contingent on on whatever cause is previous to any given scenario or event that we're referring to. But like the set of cause and effect, the entire T axis, I think that would just be static. That would be likely brute.
okay, so you're defining universe to be the totality of reality that's necessary. That's how you're defining the universe.
The
That has
totality
no other.
of reality that's necessary. I think
Is
that
that
the
how you're
universe
defining it? Because
I think the universe is probably just the totality of reality. I
Yeah,
think it
I would
contains,
say just as
but
simple as that. So, like,
depending
if
on
for
your
example,
semantics, you could say it contains contingent things, but you could also take a view that everything is necessary.
if there's a
yeah,
possible
but
universe where there's only a balloon, that balloon is the universe. If there's a possible universe where there's just God, God is the universe. If there's our possible universe where it's full of matter and energy and space and time, then that's also just a universe.
yeah, but that renders the term universe kind of meaningless because you're just defining it wherever it fits your beliefs,
We
your
just
your
the contention with the
preconceived.
definition that you were giving is that you work the word contingent into it, but we don't know that the universe itself is contingent, right? So based on parsimony, we don't assume that.
Okay, so this is where I would disagree. I would say what we know of in terms of data from modern science or cosmology, physics. What is the universe made up of? I mean, it's made up of gas, matter, energy, like
Space,
galaxies,
time, energy,
right?
fields, yeah.
And physicists define this to be like they know that this had a beginning at some point. We know
That's not
there's a
true.
way to distinguish between a universe from a non-universe state,
The
right?
majority of
So
cosmologists don't
how is
don't believe that, like, if you're talking about the Big Bang or anything, they don't say that that has anything to do with the beginning of existence or a beginning of time.
how is that not? But how is that not how is that not contingent? Or it is contingent, right? I mean, it is depending on, like, the universe didn't have to be here. Like the universe would have been a different universe with different laws. With if we
Can you
had,
demonstrate that it could have been different?
yeah, you just have to change the constants.
Can
You
you
just if you
demonstrate
change
that
the
it's
constants,
possible for the constants to be different?
yeah, yeah, I think mathematics does that. Like the physicists have done that. Like you could just change the numbers around and would be a different universe. The law of
I mean
gravity
in reality, like,
is very
I
specific.
mean in reality,
The,
because like we don't use numbers to, like, if we don't take a pen and paper, change some numbers around and change the laws of physics. So how can the laws of the universe actually be different than however they are right now?
I mean,
What
so
would cause them to
conceptually they
change?
can a different number for the law of nuclear force or law of like whatever.
And where would this number come from? What would cause this number to replace whatever number is there?
Mathematics.
Math, so are you like a Platonist or
That's
something?
a
Do you think
cop
that
out.
mathematics just like is do you think God is math? I don't know what you're even talking about anymore.
But what I'm saying is this: the cosmos is not logically a non-universe or a non-cosmo like existing would not violate any of the laws of logic. Like it didn't have to be here. It could have been a different. We see a very specific pattern when we flip a coin. We see gravity acting in a certain way on that coin,
Well,
right? It's this very
what we do
fixed
know is that the
pattern.
universe does exist. So that's our baseline starting point, is that it does exist. So from there, we have to determine, or we have to at least attempt, could it have been the case that the universe came into existence? Could it have been the case that the universe has always existed? And how do we determine
But
these things?
And perhaps the
yeah,
universe
but
just is
you're
necessary because nothingness isn't really a concept that makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
like you see that this is what the issue is. Like you said initially, or the host said that you go off the data or the theory of truth based on epistemic probability. So, but just by saying that it could have been a different universe or it could have been a cyclical universe, we don't know. You're kind of copping out of the discussion by redefining what the universe is as we know so far. Universe is
What are you
the
talking about?
yeah, so far the physicists have defined the universe to be the expansion. That's been happening for 14.2 billion years. That's what we know of
They
the
don't call
universe.
the
Like there's no
expansion the
other.
universe, because the Big Bang, for instance, talks about the expansion of the universe. So the expansion is of the universe. The expansion is not the universe.
Yes, of the universe. I
Right.
don't see a distinction there.
Well,
So
you said that they call
it
it the
is something.
expansion.
The expansion is happening. There's something moving from another state of affairs. So it is contingent. I don't know how you would say it's non-contingent
Right, but
on
this expansion
whatever
isn't
else.
synonymous with the universe because there was matter and energy in a period before that that would have existed, and that would have also been the universe.
But that's speculation. That's just you pulling out
No,
of
we know that
pulling.
the Big Bang is an expansion from a hot dense
Right.
state. So a hot dense state existed before the expansion.
Yeah, logically, the only thing you can infer of the expansion is going back to a singularity, which is a hot dense state, which is I'm fine with that.
Singularity
But
isn't the only thought held to anymore. However, the hot dense state is still a period prior to expansion that is the universe. So it defeats what you're talking about by equating the expansion with the universe.
yeah, so to get from the hot dense state to an expanding universe, there's a change happening. Therefore, it's contingent.
It's happening
Anything
within
that
time, yeah,
changes,
but it
right?
doesn't exclude the possibility of it being an eternal universe still.
What's eternal about something that was in one state and now it's expanding?
Yeah, because
How is that
The set
eternal?
of temporal the set of temporal moments would be necessary or non-contingent.
right, yeah, because change itself happening means that time is happening. Time is part of the universe.
Mm. Yeah, that's so my next like premise would have been like if something is physical, it belongs to the universe by definition. Therefore, something physical being the Big Bang would still be part of this universe in this argument. So I don't know if that changes anything, but
I don't know.
um,
I don't know what that does.
what I'm trying to get to is that I'm trying to say is that the necessary reality is actually non-physical because we see things that are non-physical that are not dependent on the cosmos. For example, mathematics. For example, the laws of logic. There's nothing that demonstrates that the law of non-contradiction came about
Math. I don't know if you're a Platonist or
from
anything, but I'm
quarks.
not a Platonist. I don't believe that mathematics or logic exist in the way that we would colloquially refer to them before minds can conceive of them. They're kind of dependent on propositions in order to exist because they're language.
I mean, so here's how I got to the necessary reality not being physical. So I would say that physical things are measurable, limited, structured, changeable, so on and so forth. Whatever is measurable, limited, structured, and so on is dependent in some respect. Like it is dependent on either its structure, inherently or something external to it. So the necessary reality in itself is not dependent, and therefore not physical.
So do you think
The
that
That's
universe
how I
isn't
got
anything
to it.
entirely physical, though.
do you think that anything can be measurable if there is nothing to measure it?
Um, Something's Yeah, I would disagree with that. Yeah, I would actually agree with that. Yeah, so if there's no physical thing, then you can't really measure anything.
No, but let's say that
So
there are
yeah,
physical things, but there's nothing around to do the measuring, to say it's this many inches long or it's this many miles wide. If there's nothing around to state that and formulate that semantic proposition, can it even be measured? Is it actually measurable?
in theory, yeah. I mean,
What would
the
be
fact that
doing the
you can
measuring if there's nothing to do
conceive,
the measuring?
if you can conceive of a physical object that's 3 feet wide, you don't need someone to measure that's 3 foot wide. Like
Well,
it's
that's like what
in
I'm talking
theory.
about though. Like we are defining the thing in this conversation as being 3 feet wide, for instance. But imagine there's no minds that exist. Let's say that this is a pre-Earth scenario where the universe doesn't have any life in it. And you've got, let's say, a boulder that has like what we would call height and width and depth and all this, but there's no one around to measure it. There's nothing to actually make sense of. Even if there was somehow a ruler, these markings on the ruler wouldn't mean anything because it would have been a natural thing floating around. I forget the ruler. Forget I said that. If there's nothing around to do the measuring, are these things even measurable?
I would say this might be
I
more of
mean,
a semantic thing, personally, but I would say there's a difference between measurable and measured. You know what I mean? Like, if measurable just merely refers to the possibility, like the logical possibility of an object being measured, then yeah, I would still have all of those properties like height, depth, and width that could be measured. It's just they're not measured
Mhm.
themselves. They're just still measurable in the sense that they have that possibility. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's
And
getting
it
to the
is
heart of what
I
you're
well,
talking about or not, to be
it is
honest, though.
getting kind of semantic too. The reason it is because we're talking about math and logic being the foundation of a reality that is at one point non-physical. And I'm trying to say that math and logic are semantics. Like they are. I mean, we are using them semantically to
Gotcha.
describe the reality that existed prior. I'm saying that it's physical first, and math and logic are things that we have come up with to make sense of the universe.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% agree with that. Yeah.
oh, I see. So that's how you look at it. Um, I mean, that's a very, very the most discussed, at least as far as I know, question in mathematics is, was it discovered or invented? Right? Things like mathematics, like was it was it just like emergent property of the physical world, or is it something that
It was like,
is
you know,
something we
it was
discovered?
workshopped. Like, maybe a good example. This might not be good, but let's say like a sled. You want to slide down the snowy hill, so you create a sled, and it works for the purpose that you intended to make it for. So you could say that you discovered that when you bend wood in this way and when you fasten it this way and you apply weight to it and sit on it, it slides down the hill at X momentum or whatever. You're making discoveries by inventing the thing. Math has gone through changes. We've tinkered with it. We've made different rules for it depending on what works to best describe our reality. So it's a language that attempts to accurately describe reality. So we invent it in that sense, but we discover things about our reality because the nature of this language that we're inventing is designed so that it helps us better understand the universe. So there is also discovery in there too, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Right. Okay. So far, let's go back to our argument. So far, my conclusion is that the necessary reality is not physical. So over here, are you disagreeing that there is no non-physical thing out there? anyway, or are you disagreeing with this conclusion that the necessary reality is not physical?
Yeah, I
Which
I
one is
would
it?
challenge that premise. Do you have a supporting argument for that?
That the necessary reality is not physical?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would, the same thing that I mentioned. Physical things are measurable, limited, structured, and anything that's in that category is dependent in some respect.
Can I
And
get something? Yeah.
necessary reality is not dependent, therefore necessary reality is not physical.
Are you saying
That's my
exclusively non-physical, or just like can it have physical and non-physical parts? Because I think reality has physical and non-physical parts.
I'm talking about the necessary reality, not just
Right. I mean,
real.
are you saying it has to be exclusively one or the other and cannot be both?
I would say exclusive, yeah.
Okay. Because I guess I don't necessarily see that, but I don't know.
Do
Maybe
you
that's
can
just me.
do you consider
Because
space and time to be physical?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, see, I wouldn't.
I mean, I think that anything that makes up our physical reality is physical, whether it's the quantum fields. I think I agree that everything about the universe is physical, and anything that is non-physical, this is like a dualist or a Platonist kind of thing.
Okay,
And
so
I don't really see any evidence for that.
where do you see number five in the physical world?
Where do I see the number
Does
five?
okay, yeah. First of all, does number five exist?
Once we came up with it, it exists as a concept.
Okay, so before human beings walked this planet, there was no number five.
Yeah.
2 + 2 = 4 was a incoherent uh deduction. Is that what you're arguing? Because no
I'm saying
mathematician would
that
actually agree with that.
I'm saying that the what 2 + 2 = 4 means was always true, but nobody was making the proposition that 2 + 2 = 4. So 2 + 2 = 4 as a proposition did not exist because nobody was positing that.
Yeah, like I don't think any even atheist mathematicians would disagree with this.
No, this
I
isn't
don't think
realm. This isn't a
anyone.
mathematical realm. This is purely philosophical. And what Lobes is saying is something pretty well accepted. That the concept of something is not identical with the property it's describing itself. You know what I mean? So like, what Lobes believes is like the concept of 1 + 1 = 2 is real in the sense that that's something that is true about reality. It describes properties of reality, but it's not real in a separate singular sense where like this concept has to exist somewhere. It only exists within minds that are processing it.
2 + 2 = 4 is like descriptive. It helps us understand the universe. It's an intellectual tool that we use. It's not that two exists somewhere in some way. I mean,
So as long as
this is a
there's
tool that we've come up with to
yeah,
help us think.
so you're so as long as there's at least one mind that can understand 2 + 2 = 4, it does exist.
Yeah,
Has
and the
no
function that it's describing is always real, whether it's described or not.
yeah, so it has nothing to do with the physical reality. It has to do with the mind.
Well, it does. It has a lot to do with physical reality. Because think about it this way. Um, if there are no objects to count, then there's no counting really to be done, right? Like there's no there's we would never come up with the proposition that 2 + 2 = 4 if we don't have two pairs of objects.
I mean, hell, the reason we use base 10 is because we have 10 fingers.
That's true. That's a good point.
Mm,
If the physical reality were
yeah, that's
different,
something now.
then we would come up with different systems of making sense of the universe. The universe is the way that it is, and we've come up with systems that help us better understand it. But this is like talking about 2 + 2 = 4 is, I think, ultimately a semantic kind of argument.
I think if we can try to bring this argument back to like the root, for me, what would be most interesting is if you could in some way prove that the universe had to have a beginning. I think that would pretty pretty sharply disagree with what we're saying. And I think it's kind of where you're going with this physical thing, maybe, if I'm not wrong. But I think that if you can find just some sort of way to like demonstrate that this universe had to have a start and couldn't be cyclical or in some other way, or just progress from another state, or from some sort of quantum foam, or even just a wave function of some kind. Even if we maybe if we do want to lean into more of a Platonist idea, maybe a wave function is the root of reality and everything arises from that. You know what I mean? But for us, if you could demonstrate in some way a reality that's not just contingent but has to have a beginning, then we'd kind of be going somewhere.
So you're looking for evidence that this universe had a beginning.
I would say that would be one of the more interesting things that we have to talk about why it has a beginning. At least we would
Yeah.
go on from there. But like for us, if you can't demonstrate it has to have a beginning, we don't think it has to have a creator.
Yeah, that is kind of the heart of the issue, isn't it?
It wouldn't be the end of
Yeah,
things right there if you did that, but it would be a cool next step.
Right. Yeah, because if you
and then
demonstrate to
to
us that it has a
prove,
beginning, we'd have to consider, well, um, why does it have a beginning? Was there something that caused this beginning? Right? What's the explanation
yeah.
for it having a beginning? And our
So
position would change slightly. We'd be moved in a certain direction,
yeah, so
closer towards believing
so
God.
earlier we disagreed on the definition of what the universe is. So I added the word contingent. You had a contention against that. So I'm fine with removing the word contingent and redefining it to be just the space-time, physical, galaxies, gas, all of these things. Would that be okay then? Would that fit in that category of things that came about from a state of not non-existence, but like some other state? So the way I'm defining beginning is not like ex nihilo, or how do you say it?
Ex
Ex
nihilo.
nihilo. Well, the way I'm defining something coming or beginning is, for instance, I would say that the apple pie in my oven began to exist.
Right.
I have
Well,
it has no bearing on
yeah,
what the apple
that
pie
sounds
was
consistent
before.
with like my view already. Like the things that we see that are within our world that we would call contingent, like my beanie or my face, for instance, it's contingent on its priors within time and within like, the physical space. So it's contingent on the parts that make it up, and these parts like are made up of other parts. But ultimately, things that are created within the universe are made up of things that already exist. So, but when we're talking about the universe as a whole, as the set of all things that exist, that would be a completely different thing than talking about the things within the universe.
Yeah, and I would say, like for me, any state of existence is what I would include in the what I would want to include in any definition I had of the universe. So even if time is the only thing that exists, I would still call that a universe.
Okay. So how does it not prove that the universe began in some shape or form?
I'm just wondering
I think
what you really see. It seems like you don't. It seems like
Okay,
you
so
don't
what
you
I've
don't believe that the universe even really began in the same way that we were talking about.
yeah, I
Like
mean,
that you don't
what are
you
we
don't
measuring this against,
do
right?
you
So
hold to a
we are
do you hold to a
saying,
first moment in time?
yeah, I would say that time began to exist.
Okay, let's talk
yeah,
about that.
I find
Yeah.
that to be logically contradictory. To be honest with you, I don't think that it makes sense for a timeless state to become a timed state because time is well. Let's talk about what would you define time as? It's most simple.
Um, Time. I mean, I know there's different theories of time.
I know there is, but like for this,
The
let's say progression of events. Is that fair to you?
Yeah, that seems pretty rational.
So for time to begin to exist, a progression of events, there can't be a moment before a progression of events because the moment it becomes a progression of events, there's a before state and an after state. You know what I mean? So like if time exists at all, it had to have always been going.
Hmm.
any first moment posited would be a moment where there is a like an uncaused cause, um, wherein this cause caused an effect for no reason, right? It
An
didn't have an
unchanging
So
state
explanation.
I
would
mean,
change into a changing state.
but the thing is, I mean, based on classical Big Bang cosmology, space time actually comes into existence with the universe.
Like we
It
were
was
pointing
not.
out, though, that's no
It
longer
no,
popularly believed.
it expand. Yeah, it's that's not the popular view anymore among cosmologists.
Can we verify that? Can we
Yeah,
fact check
there
that
was
real quick?
a survey in 2024 in Copenhagen. It's famously called the Copenhagen survey, and 68% of the cosmologists that were attending that took the poll about uh, what the Big Bang is stated that it says nothing about the creation of time or the beginning of the universe. It states that it is the universe expanding from a hot dense state, and this was about I think 80 cosmologists and physicists that were there, and so they did it
No,
again with
can
1600, and it
we?
was the same percentage. Amazingly enough, it was 68% of the 1600 as well that said the same thing.
No, no. What exactly did they disagree on? So I'm looking for the exact. Can you fact check? Like, did do the modern cosmologists agree that space time began with the universe? That's what I'm trying to
That's what
come at.
this is.
Right.
It's a survey of cosmology. So let me just search up.
Can you just like chat GPT it or like I don't know whatever you use for AI?
If you look up just the Copenhagen study, you should be able to find it yourself pretty quickly, I think.
No, I mean it's easier to actually attack the question that I'm asking than looking up the whole study because
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sure.
this is an answer to it. This is a sourced way for us to know. I mean, like consensuses aren't just found sort of at random or pulled from thin air. You know what I mean? Like it's very rare that we have opportunities to poll experts like this rather than just collate from a bunch of books over time. But this is an indication of the consensus, and that's why we're pointing to this. If that makes sense.
Yeah, AI should be able to give us the conclusion of the consensus.
I don't really think AI will do that very much. AI often is it will kind of give you the results of Reddit and what Reddit's consensus is more often than the scientific consensus.
No, if you reference the exact study or the give put in some names of the cosmologists maybe that were attending or because I would actually argue that that's what the position is currently that space-time began with the universe.
I'm trying to find it.
I think I found one from the Neil Boris Institute.
Because I think your argument is that all causal relations require time and space. That's what you're really arguing. But
Yeah,
I don't
causation
think,
exists within time.
yeah, yeah, but this is not self-evident or scientifically proven. I think
Can can
many
you
many
tell
forms
me
of
about
causation,
or can you give an example of a cause that is not temporal?
logical dependence.
Okay, explain.
Yeah, so the cause effect. Um, so logical dependence would be something like the law of non-contradiction is not dependent on temporal states.
Right, but there's no
Uh,
causation there.
exactly.
Right, there's no causation. So give an example of causation being non-temporal.
Yeah, yeah, something can depend on something else without occurring after it in time.
Not
So
depending on it, but like being caused by it.
yeah, so dependencies are of many types. I mean, they're either logical, metaphysical, ontological, and could be temporal also, but not just temporal.
So
Dependence. I'm
give
talking
an
about
example.
dependence. So triangle, for instance, a triangle depends on having three sides, but the triangle does not, first exist, then later receive three sides. The
Right, but like
dependence
where's
is
the
instantaneous.
cause? Where's the cause in the idea of a triangle? Where's the cause and effect? So we've got a triangle, where's the cause and effect?
Yeah, there is no cause. That's exactly my point. The dependence
Right.
is instantaneous
So
and
then
conceptual.
that's my point is that the causation exists within time. So you've given 2 examples that didn't have anything to do with causation.
Yeah, triangle. I gave you triangle.
Yeah, but there's no cause.
The triangle's existence depends on triangularity, not on temporal sequence. So that proves that
Can
you
you
don't
lay it
need
out? Like,
temporal sequence.
can you give a
So
sequence in where the idea of a triangle is the effect of some cause that's not temporal?
give an example of what? Sorry,
Of the
that
idea of
uh,
the triangle being the effect of a cause that is not temporal.
well, it's not temporal.
I did
It's
find
not temporal.
the study, by the way, on arxiv.org.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to go ahead and just type the, it'll let me actually, will it cut me off if I try to type it in chat?
Don't think so. No.
Yeah. So same thing with the example of a bachelor. A bachelor depends on being unmarried, but he does not become a bachelor first, then become unmarried. The
Right.
dependence is logical. So the
Yeah,
being
so then
unmarried is built into what a bachelor is.
it would
So
be yeah,
mathematical
it's
truths.
but then it's not cause, it's not causation. You would be talking about, in order to talk about what a bachelor is, the closest thing you can maybe get to causation is when you're talking about antecedents and consequence. We're doing like philosophy and logic and stuff. But when we're talking about causation, we're talking about temporal things.
All right, I posted it there. I added you with one, Gibran, and I just put one in chat for you to copy paste really easily if you wanted to.
Yeah, copy paste.
But yeah, it
How do
goes
I
through
how
survey.
do I access the conclusion of that survey?
There's links on
Is
just the left side. You can just hit conclusion.
okay. Just okay. I'll just search it. Actually, what was the name of the survey
The
again?
Copenhagen survey.
Let me
Copenhagen
find the exact at the top.
survey.
So
Cosmology.
this paper is Big Mysteries Survey, physicists' views on cosmology, black holes, quantum mechanics, and quantum gravity.
Okay,
Look up
the Big
maybe
Bang
Michael
meaning
Schreiber is one of the big names behind it. Maybe that would help you find it. Or Scherber, Schirber.
okay, so the Big Bang meaning answer an absolute beginning of time with a start, an absolute beginning of time without a singularity, a theory that says the universe evolves from a hot dense state that says nothing about whether or not absolute beginning of time or not. Yeah, so yeah, 68. I can hang on. Let me see if I can window capture this.
Yep, it's right under Q1.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Part 3 results and discussion.
Add source, window capture. Let's do this. Add that. Big mysteries right there. Add source. Here we go. Let's blow this up. Oh, it's gonna be a little difficult to read. Oh, hang on. Oh shit! I moved my thing around by mistake. Let's blow it up here. Okay, so this is the under answer. You see, it says a list of answers, right? That were like is like a
Make it a
multiple choice.
little bit thinner if you could, please.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Can you read it?
Yes, I
Okay.
can at least.
Can you read it, Jabron? So under answer,
Yep.
I'm gonna see if I can make it. Damn. Okay, well if you can read, that's fine. An absolute state of beginning of time, singularity at the start, beginning of time with no singularity, a theory of this says I can't even read it now. Anyway, the third one is the one we were talking about, and under the percent of the cosmologists that were surveyed, 68% you can see on the right of that one there. To my understanding, there wasn't another one that got even 50% consensus. Let me just double check that.
Fate
Yeah,
of matter inside a black hole got close at 41. They think it's crushed into a singularity.
cosmic inflation got 50.8. So I'm not going to say that anymore because they got over 50% for that. For the early universe puzzles. Yeah.
So going back to, just want to recap on what we actually trying to verify, that there was time before the Big Bang, right?
Yeah,
Right.
essentially,
But
like the Big Bang is not the beginning of the universe as we defined it, essentially, and that cosmologists agree with that view. Because we had
oh
said,
no
because I had pointed out the logical inconsistency of time not existing, and then you brought up like what do cosmologists and scientists believe, and then that's when we brought this here.
Right. In second
so
place,
so there were,
by the way, the second place answer is an absolute beginning of time with a singularity at the start with a 19.5% versus the 68.4%. So that's the difference between the number one answer and the number two answer. It's monumentally different.
yeah, I mean, if you're making a positive claim that, you know, there was always time, then the burden is on you to prove that. Like, what evidence proves an actual eternal temporal past, or how can an infinite sequence be, you know,
I can
the
give my
problem
argument
with
again if you'd like.
Hang on.
yeah. So can you prove, like, this goes back to infinite regress of causes without an initial cause?
I don't see a problem with infinite regress.
You don't think it's absurd? Like, you
No,
don't think that?
I think we cross an
Uh,
infinite amount of halves every time we cross the street.
That's
sorry,
true.
say that again.
I think we cross an infinite amount of halves. Like you go halfway across the street. Before you can get halfway across the street, you have to get halfway to halfway across the street. Before you get there, you have to get halfway to halfway there. And it goes on and on and on. You cross an actual infinity every time you cross your bedroom.
Oh wow. So I cross infinity from here to my bedroom.
Yeah, you cross an infinite amount of halves. Zeno's paradox.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're kind of intersecting like mathematical, conceptual like numbers with like actual macro physical. I don't know what to say. I mean,
Or
it's like
macro.
saying there's infinite numbers between point one and like point two or something like that.
Right.
Which
You're saying it's
uh,
absurd to overcome an actual infinity going backwards. I'm saying we overcome actual infinities all the time, so there's no reason to think it's inherently absurd.
I would just like to know what the
how
P and
do,
not P would be for
how,
an infinite regress.
Yeah, that would be nice too.
so I would say that the present depends on prior moments elapsing, right? If the past is real and temporal, then moment A had to pass before B, B before C, C before D, so on and so forth.
You're positing a
So
moment A.
that is okay.
We could call this
Why would you
moment. Let's
I
call this
mean,
moment here moment one. The moment previous was moment two. The moment before that was moment three. The moment before that was moment four, and so on. Or you could do it. It might be a little bit easier if we do negative numbers for the past and positive numbers. So right now is the present. We'll call this moment zero. The very next moment would
so
be one, and the previous one would be negative one.
so so are you saying that the infinite was never started? Is that what your position is?
Well, that's what it is. I mean, infinites don't
Yeah,
have.
that's how infinite
I mean,
works.
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess
I
you
don't
could have
think
a
that it
you could have a
solves.
start with no end, I suppose. But like, yeah, I would say that like
That'd be like a ray.
if it changes.
I mean, I don't think it solves the problem though. Like, I don't think the issue is where did it begin. The issue is how was an actual how was an actually infinite number of temporal transitions like completed before now. Like, that's the issue. If every prior moment is separated from now by finite many moments, they may try to escape by saying that, like, I don't know.
Well, every moment is
It's,
actual already, right? So we're just our perception of moving through time isn't necessarily consistent or the only one, and it might change depending on, say, how fast we're going, and or based on our percentage of speed of light or something like that, or how heavy gravity is. So like we know that all moments in time have to be to some degree actual already. I don't think that there's anything inconsistent with noting that like negative numbers go backwards infinitely without a problem, and
What do
they
you
go
think?
forward without a problem. You know
What do
what
you
I
think
mean?
about this syllogism? Premise one: if change exists, then time exists. Premise two: a timeless state cannot change. Premise three: if time began, then a timeless state changed into a time state. Conclusion: time did not begin to exist. Which one of you guys screenshotted this?
That was him. I was muted. Are you just uploading it to ChatGPT right away?
Let's see. Yeah, man, I don't know where to go from here. Like, I honestly think that
Do you disagree
this
with
is
any of the
where the
premises?
disagreement. Um, I think you are conflating temporal change with ontological causation.
And I asked
That
you
was
So
for
me.
an
if
example of causation that was not temporal, and you didn't give me any actual
married
examples.
bachelor,
You
triangle,
those
married
those are
bachelor,
contradictions. Those aren't that's not causation.
those
Those are
are
contradictions.
it's
All causal
just,
relationships exist within time.
yeah. If change exists, then time exists, right? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because time is a measurement of change.
And then you're saying, I think the problem is it with P3, I would say, mainly. Because it assumes that if time began, then there was first a timeless condition and
Well,
then
yeah,
later
if
a temporal
there's
condition.
no right, if time began, that means that there was a state without time.
Yeah, yeah, but you didn't realize this. You just smuggled in a before and after language outside time, which is not
That's kind
your
of the
position.
that's the contradiction we're pointing out. It's
Right,
incoherent for time to be before time.
Right.
right. Yeah, but you did that in your premise.
Yeah, if
Right. We're
time
pointing
began to
out, so if
exist,
time
what that
began,
means, yeah. Like if a bachelor is married, then someone who is unmarried is married. Conclusion, absurdity, right? Conclusion, contradiction. Conclusion, my PFP. That's what that symbol means. Contradiction.
Mm, okay.
So premise three is highlighting the contradiction of the beginning of time, or time becoming actualized rather than just being actual.
Time did not begin to exist. So are you saying so there was always some state of infinite regress of physical causes?
That seems to be the
That's your position,
implication. Yeah, I think so.
right? Infinite state of physical causes that are dependent on each other.
Yeah, each one was dependent on the previous, and there's always a
Mm-hmm.
previous. I think there you only reach any issue when there's a moment without a previous moment, but we have infinite moments. We have like infinite ammo, so to speak. So there's never an issue.
Mm-hmm.
and I
It's
believe one of the
infinite actualizer.
implications of and I believe one of the implications of B theory of time, that all moments are actual, means that moments in time aren't really dependent on each other. It's just our perspective and the way that we move through time that gives us the impression that they do.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine how we would have this universe if it was dependent on a prior cause, and and that was dependent on a prior cause, but there was infinite causes that never initiated.
Hmm.
That was the first cause that was never initiated. How do we have the present if we
Well,
never had a beginning?
Well, yeah, right. So the present is the present from our perspective, but we all experience different perceptions of the present. We don't actually share a common now. We have a very similar now because we exist on the same planet, on the same like level. But in general relativity, there's time dilation. Like time is relative.
I think even
Right.
astronauts moving on the space station age something like 8 minutes less a year, something like that.
Hmm.
I mean,
So the
the
present
thing
is
with
a
this is like,
subjective thing.
isn't there a deeper issue here? Like, so have you asked yourself, why does that entire causal chain exist at all in the first place?
It would just
I
be
Talking
mean,
teleologically,
adding more contingent causes never explains why contingent reality exists.
why and what modal scope? Are you talking teleological now?
Teleological, and in sense of like, yeah, meaning
Why should
of
we
reality,
expect there to be a meaning?
because that's how our brains are wired to arrive at
That seems
conclusions
like
about
a,
why things
human
exist.
thing. Like humans expect there to always be a meaning when there might not always
Anthropic
be one.
projection.
Yeah, because it doesn't possess any explanatory power, of contingent things for infinity. Infinite regress of dependent things still like is still dependent. Like it doesn't explain. Going back to my
Well,
initial,
the
remember
set,
if we,
the infinite set of contingent things would be necessary.
Yeah.
yeah, but they're physical causes, right?
But if it's necessary, it requires no explanation. We
No,
talked about that at the beginning.
physical causes are contingent by nature, because physical things change. They decay, they rot, they are destroyed, they're measurable.
I thought you
They
believed time
have
and space were physical as well. You mentioned that earlier.
uh
Is that changing now?
yeah, time changes. Like, we
Space
have
space
past.
rots and decays. Time and space are the same
uh
thing, by the way. It's essentially the same material.
not everything in that classification would decay, but I would say it's still measurable, have conditions, they have limited states, they obey laws.
So
Like, so all of these things.
you're throwing in extra conditions here and there around things that are like intuitive
No, but
and
I'm
believable. You know what I
I'm
mean? Like I think it's you're starting to flail a little bit here.
I'm no so now I'm pretty consistent. I'm saying that everything that's all physical causes are contingent by nature. So some of them change, some of them decay, some of them are measurable, some of them are obey laws, or some or do all of these things. So anything with limitations and conditions is contingent by definition. So even infinitely many contingent physical causes do not become necessary merely
So
by
anything
quantity.
with limitations is contingent.
Yes.
In what way does
So
time
infinity,
change?
time changes from our relative point of view, from past, present to future.
We're viewing different moments in time, but time itself would be the collection of all temporal locations, right? All moments. That's time.
Is
Not
time
Once
measurable?
z-axis.
Yeah, measurable
Yeah.
things are contingent. Yeah, so it's contingent then.
would your creator being be limited by the laws of logic?
I would define logic to be just a framework by which intelligibility is possible.
So
So it's
is your
not.
God limited by them?
No. So I wouldn't
No.
say
Okay. So your God
God
isn't
is limit.
logical?
No, no. So here's the definition of how we know of logic. Because God exists, we know of something called non-existence. So thereby we understand existence versus non-existence, and that's how the law of logics actually emerge, and that's how we understand the law of non-contradiction, the law of excluded middle. By God existing, it emanates, or you could say it's a byproduct, or an eternally
So it's an
necessary
accident.
frame. It's an eternally necessary framework. I would put it that way.
He's doing it unconsciously. He doesn't know he's doing it.
No, it's a necessary framework that we
So,
need,
oh, so
not
it's
God.
necessary. He is limited by it. Then he has to act within those bounds.
Hmm.
No, no, I'm talking about logic. Logic is a necessary framework
Oh, well, I'm
that
talking
we
about
need.
God, though. Is God bound by this necessary framework because it's
God is
necessary?
not bound by.
But
God
it's
is
necessary,
eternally exist.
Then God could act
God
outside of
is
logic if he's
God
not
is
bound by
necessary.
logic.
right? Yeah.
Could God act outside of logic if he's not bound by logic? Um, I
That's the
mean,
implication.
we're treating logic as if it's like some separate entity that exists.
No,
Uh,
no, we're
uh,
not. We're you're talking about what logic is
Okay,
grounded in. You know
actually,
what I mean?
actually,
Like,
guest, sorry, your name is
go on.
Jabron. So Jabron, and we talked for like almost an hour, maybe an hour at this point. I'm embarrassed I didn't remember your name. So anyway, I actually kind of sympathize with what you just said. Sometimes people will take logic to have its own ontology, like it's a force that's like a metaphorical dam that is preventing the contradictions, like the water behind the dam from manifesting. But I think that it's just an observation that there is no water behind the dam. We don't need like right, you know what I mean? Like the like logic is just acknowledging that contradictions can't occur.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah. God being powerful does not mean like. I mean, he
So
can like
he
just
can't.
suspend.
So he can't like so it might be a language, there might be a semantics thing, but by saying when Ratsoup is saying is God bound by logic, he's meaning I think he's trying to say like does God always act logically? Can God act illogically?
So I would say or sorry, logic is rooted in God's nature itself. So God is a necessary being in our paradigm. Obviously, I'm speaking from, my paradigm. God is logically necessary, or God is necessary. Is perfectly rational, non-contradictory, the source of intelligibility. So logic is not a higher authority above God. Rather, I would say logic reflects the consistency of necessary reality. So I don't see it framing it in that way might sound like God is bound by logic, but I would disagree with that.
It sounds like logic, the way you put it sounds like logic emanates from God. Like because God exists, logic exists, is what it sounds like you
Yeah,
said.
so because of the existence of God, we know of non-existence, right? We can recognize what non-existence means. We know of what it means to be less than all powerful or less than all knowledgeable. So we are kind of deriving these dichotomies from God's existence
I
itself.
don't like I have a concept of non-existence, but not because excuse me, not because of God. I mean, if God does not
How can
exist,
you?
if God excuse sorry,
I mean,
if God does not exist, can a bachelor be married?
if a God did not exist,
Right.
yeah, if God did not exist, then the everything will be illogical. Like
Can you
logic
explain
wouldn't make
how can you
sense.
explain how everything would be illogical if God did not exist?
I mean, that for me, that's an impossibility.
I
Right.
guess,
So
like,
Like,
okay. So
for
then
if
instance, we can
because
God,
like
have.
it sounds like if you can't even conceptualize, you can't even really like give a hypothetical to where there's a universe with no God. We could say that there's an eternal universe, but you aren't able to. You were able to engage with it earlier, talking about infinite regress. You were doing like eternal critiques earlier. So let's just posit
okay,
a
so
universe that has always existed. In this universe, it's just like ours, but there's no creator God. God does not exist. Um, can a married bachelor exist in such a world?
um, I would still say no. A married bachelor would still not exist, even if God did not exist,
Right.
because married bachelor is not an actual possible thing anyway.
Right.
It is
Okay,
it is
that's
just
important.
gibberish. It
That's the
is
point that I was getting across. So then it is not because of God that you think that logic follows. You think logic is I guess necessary in some regard. Logic is just the case, right? It does not have anything to do with God. So God does not create logic. God does not have anything to do with logic. Logic is independent from God, is what you've just told me.
Mm. Um. Yeah, I would disagree with that. I don't know. It doesn't sound right, but like maybe I have to like think this through more. But I would say that married bachelors do not exist because married bachelor is a impossible contradiction
Right.
anyway. Like it
I
does not
agree.
exist.
Hey,
But
Jabron,
I,
we
I
So
can.
guess
to
that's like
Jabron,
argue,
in our universe. Like, why
yeah.
couldn't God make that an intelligible, possible thing? Like right now, it's unintelligible, impossible. It's not even really a comprehensible thing to suggest, right? But all of that could potentially change with God. You know what I mean? There's if God was all powerful, what's intelligible and coherent? I mean,
yeah,
we
but
make up fictional characters that can do things that are illogical and coherent. So we can imagine, we can visualize,
Hmm.
we can see what it might be like to do incoherent, illogical things like weird time travel shenanigans and stuff. Like we can visualize it and see what it would be like, even if it's still logically impossible. So it's coherent for God to be able to give us a coherent,
Yeah.
illogical reality.
I could say that I could write a
I
story
mean,
where the married bachelor creates a square circle and like it would make any sense, but you would still be able to kind of follow the story, right? You wouldn't really be able to fathom it, but it would still be written in the story. Hey, Jabron, like we've been talking for over an hour. I want to bring up another guest before I get out of here, but you were at least you were like stimulating to talk to. I would say there
Yeah.
was no crash out. You listened to us, and I think we listened to you pretty well. So definitely, you're welcome to come back. I appreciate you.
man,
Yeah, have a
peace.
good night.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you being philosophical without being a Phil bro. You know
Oh
what I
my
mean?
God, yeah, holy shit. That was great.
That was yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was
Big
awesome.
W for Jabon.
Let's bring up the next guest. And thank you guys for being here. I'm joined tonight. I'm Lopes Lounge joined tonight with Rat Soup.
Thank you, thank you.
We are talking. Remember, do not fill the meter. And nobody's filling up the meter tonight. It's filled up like 4 nights in a row. But uh, anyway, if you fill it up, I have to sing to you. So don't do that. Anyway, so we got Jaden. Are you at least 18?
Yep.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
Oh, I don't believe in a god. I just wanted to say what's up, you guys. I haven't talked to you guys in a very long time. Yo, it seems like y'all forgot me. Oh, that fucking sucks.
Oh, we didn't forget you. I didn't forget you at least. I hope you're doing
I
well.
Oh,
forgot
Lo
you.
most
I'm
definitely
sorry.
did. Yeah. Y'all good.
Did you change a
Yeah, just
PFP?
wanted to say what's
I'm kind
up.
of a visual guy.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah, I
new
did.
doves there. There weren't doves before, right?
Mm-mm.
What did we talk about last time? Did you come here to talk to me? Or did we meet on something else?
Sorry, what?
Did you come here to talk to like did you meet me on my live or did we talk somewhere else?
Me met on the live.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not recalling. But what did we talk about? Maybe that'll jog my memory.
Uh, I don't even remember. I just
I
remember
think you
being
just
here.
swung by to say
Man, you
hi, right?
didn't
That's
you
kind of like this
forgot
time.
you forgot our conversation. That's like the same as forgetting me. That's not the same. Trying to get out of forgetting you.
It's all good, dude. I do change. I add little details to my profile picture every once in a while. That's why Radsuit picked up on the doves that I added. And I did change around the words a little bit, so I make it a little difficult to remember me. That's kind of what the name is supposed to help with. So
Hmm. Yeah. Well, at least I know it was on a Wednesday, because Rat Soup has only ever been up here on Wednesdays. Except like briefly
yeah, I
one time, and then
noticed
he got a
that.
restriction because he crashed out of the live.
I don't think
All
I
right,
crashed out
yeah.
that bad. I just said some little
It
nasty
was
things,
it was
maybe.
well, it was enough to get a restriction.
True. It was. It was.
Dude, I will always and forever get a restriction on any live I start or any live I am on for longer than 2 hours because TikTok just doesn't like me. And it's always the same restriction. It is always hate speech and bullying.
Well,
I'll
maybe
be
just stop doing
silent.
that.
But I'm silent. I'm not doing that. That's the problem. I'm
I've gotten
silent.
that from the start of my live before, where all I did was say hello to somebody, and it was like, "Hey, that's bullying," and then my live just get pushed out.
I said God. I said God, and I got a restriction.
Hmm.
I think sometimes it's report based, but I could be wrong.
Well,
But who?
what
But who
Cyber told
hates me
me
that
is
much?
that like it doesn't actually matter when you do something. They can pick you for something that you did at the start of your live, near the end of your live, or in the middle of your live, or even a
Whoa.
different live that you did.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's some bullshit.
I mean, if they think you're breaking the rules, then they're not gonna be like, well, it's been enough time. Like I guess I kind of get it. Like if you stole a candy bar, but it was 2 weeks ago, so just forget about it. Like you still stole the candy bar. You pay for it.
But like the problem is though is that they're supposed to catch it immediately. To do it 3 seconds or even an hour later is ridiculous.
I guess. Um, Man, we're kind of dropping. I might have another 30 minutes in me, but I don't know if should I reset? Should I restart? Because we don't have any other guests either. Should I restart or should I call it? What do you think, Rat Soup? You want to go for another 30 minutes?
I'm done. Go for another 30 minutes, but if you're done, that's fine by me too.
I'll
But
do
yeah, I think we got a little bit more in us.
I'll do a restart because um this is the lowest viewership I think I've had in months. So and there's no guests. So let's see if a restart helps. Guys, give me a
Dude,
follow. Give me a follow if you're not already following me, so you can find the stream when we restart back up here.
that's so sad that this is the lowest you've ever had, and this is the highest I've ever had from my life.
And we're back. You beat Rat Soup in here. I'm surprised.
I'm simply faster than him.
Sat Roop. I want to play some jams. Oh wait.
Hell yeah. Oh, also, what even is the bar? Like, how does it get filled?
You send gifts. So like each gift has a certain
Okay.
value. Like if I get 2,000 coins worth of gifts, then I sing. The first time I changed it from I'll expand the panel if you fill it to don't fill this or I'll sing. It actually got to like twice the meter, and then the next day it was like 4 times the meter, and then it was a little bit over full the third time I did it, and last night it got almost full, but tonight it's like holy shit, it's 2%. So that's a little surprising, but I guess you have your good days, you have your bad days. Back, Rat Soup. Science. Tim says,
Hell yeah,
blinded
so-
me with science. This is like really good workout music, I think. This is like anime fight music. He's like running
I'm a big fan
around.
of Sabaton when I'm working out, to be honest.
I would always listen to the Zombie EP from The Devil Wears Prada.
I haven't heard that.
You haven't heard it? Oh my god, it's classic. It's just breakdown, 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 breakdown. It's so heavy and good. Ice cream, hey, welcome. We just did a restart. Since we did a restart, make sure you guys are tapping the screen, sharing out the live. Let's get the people back in here. Have some guests. We got a little bit left in us here. All right, we got Zach in here now. Jaden, I'm gonna drop you down. Thanks for coming up. It was fun to see you. Hey, Zach, you at
Hey,
least
I just
18?
want to say this TikTok makes no sense because there's no reason to have evidence for God. That's why it's called faith. I don't mean this in a rude way. I genuinely hope you have a great day. But
What do you mean
if
by faith?
we had evidence for God, everyone would believe him. So that's why you have to have faith.
Yeah.
So
What do you mean by
Yeah.
faith?
Wait, first, Zach, I just want to ask. Oh, okay.
No, just running. I mean,
Anyway,
Sound a little young anyway, to be totally honest.
he sounded like he was underage. I would have loved to have talked to him. Sounds very misguided.
Yeah. I was there. I used to say things like that.
I used to say
I
shit
didn't
like
have
that.
TikTok. I didn't have TikTok.
Well, I
at the
did. I
time,
don't think
thank
I
God.
said shit like that. I don't think I said you have to have faith. Because I remember saying before, like, I don't say this or believe these things because I want to. I say these things and hold these beliefs because I believe they're true. And I think once I said that out loud, that was one of the beginnings of my deconstruction. Yeah, I mean, I said that for a long time while still being a believer. It was like, why do you believe it's true? Now you kind of have to justify it. And that kind of itched me for a while. Yeah, we're already
Yeah.
doing better.
I think my big thing was like faith was. I defined faith as like belief in what you knew to be true or something. I forget where I got that from. I had some weird verse that like I built some personal theodicy basically for why faith actually meant just believing in what you know was proven to you, basically, like having
Right.
trust in it, I guess.
And that's why you have faith that 2 + 2 = 4 or some crazy shit.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, man, I'm kind of glad I'm past that.
Ice Cream was asking how old was I? When that happened, Ice Cream, I was probably like later in my teens, but I stopped being a Christian when I was 22. Anyway, guys, I'm Lobes Lounge joined tonight with Rap Soup, and we've got Kenroy Andre Smith himself as a guest tonight. Hey, Kenroy, are you at least 18?
Greetings and salutations.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, are you at least 18?
Yeah, I'm like twice 18 plus some.
Cool, man. Well, what God do you believe in?
I believe in the God of the Bible.
Cool. Well, we're both atheists. So, what is your best evidence for God?
Best evidence, I would say teleology. If you're looking for evidence that could be not how do I put this? You won't ever get evidence that is 100% that like we get in the sciences.
That's fine.
But
Yeah,
it
just what's
definitely,
your
yeah, but it
best like
definitely,
evidence argument?
yeah. So I mean, the fine tuning of the universe and the fact that we can see order, a lot of order in the universe and around us. So the more I look, I see that, okay, the planets orbit the sun. Why is this?
It's because of
Why was
gravity.
this order there? How would it come from this order? I can't see it, and I've not seen any evidence for order rising from disorder. So
Well,
that to
you see it
me,
in the universe all the time. You know, you've got meteors smashing into each other in space. You've got stars blowing up into supernovas, all sorts of particles flying everywhere throughout the cosmos. But things like the laws of physics, the gravity, for instance, they cause order. Like gravity, the bending and warping of space-time, it has these particles converge and attract each other, masses attracting mass. and bending space-time, and it's causing orbit because of the planet's velocity near another massive object. Right, so
On an even more
it's
simple scale, you can take a bottle, you can fill it up with some oil and water, shake it up real hard. It's going to be real chaotic with lots of little beads of oil and water all mixed around, flying around together. Then you let it sit there for a while. It's going to separate itself out to nice, even layers.
Yeah,
I should have
yeah,
said
and you know
that.
what, guys? My background is you guys would hear my accent. I'm Jamaican. I live in the UK. I'm an engineer, and I actually teach. I teach math, chem, physics, bio, and I'm a chess player.
Well,
So I sort of deep.
you
So
should
I sort
then
of
you should know about the chaos going into Ordermon.
No, well, the examples that you cited, I don't think they were good examples because those were destructive stuff happening. So I can't see the order that was coming from meteors clashing into
You
each.
don't see the order
No.
in
What
his
what I'm
example
saying
with the
is
oil and the water. They
no,
settle.
no,
They
not
become
not
separate.
no. That is not that is. But remember that oils that have different densities are going to separate if you leave
Do you
them. This
mean
is
like when you
just
say
this
order?
is
Do you mean complexity? Because I think that we might be talking
No,
past
no,
each other
no.
with this.
That's not what I mean.
What do you
What I
mean?
mean is, like, for example, a system that works, like our solar system is a system that works. So you have a star in the middle of this galaxy and you have planets that orbit it. So what I'm saying is that is order. But the example that you gave with meteors clashing into each other, that is something chaotic happening. That is destructive. That's not order rising from
Right.
chaos. That is just cause and effect.
Well, no, yeah,
So
well,
if
our
I say
universe is
that
a result of
two,
cause and effect. Our solar system is a result of cause and effect too. Like
yeah, yeah,
stars
yeah.
come into existence because of the laws of physics. They start off chaotic, and in fact, the processes in our sun is very chaotic. Like the sun itself is extraordinarily chaotic with its fusion or its fission going on in there constantly. And the fact that we orbit around the sun, we were stardust that coagulated together, became a more massive object until it got to the size of a planet. I mean, this
How
is
do,
like
how do you know
I
that?
think part of the
How do you
problem
know?
here as well,
How
if
do
I
you
can,
how
real
do you
quick,
know?
Ken,
This
I
hey,
Lobes.
think
How do you know that?
let rat soup real quick.
Oh, sorry. Rat soup is a crazy name, by the way, man.
thank you. I think part of the problem is as well as that order itself is not. It's not really. First of all, it's a subjective category. It's something humans are coming up with to describe things. It's not even a quantitative one. There's not like a measurement of order. You can measure entropy, but that's not the same thing necessarily. Their order isn't necessarily anything beyond something that a human's value and ascribe to certain systems. Like for instance, you talked about like the universe. We like the solar system because the system works in a way that we like, so we call it orderly. But there's the system is also the same system where meteorite clashes are happening. Like the Earth get hits with an asteroid that wipes out all the dinosaurs and stuff like that. And that's also disorderly things that we don't like happening within the same system. These are all parts of the same system, though. They're not separate things. It's behaving orderly one moment, disorderly the next. It's that these things are just part of the system, and we don't like one thing and we do like the other one.
That's a good point. Furthermore, if you have observed order, I don't know why you would need to posit anything extra. You can just observe that the universe you live in happens to contain what you would call order, right? You don't need to know where it's coming from. It just is the case that there's chaos and that there's also order in our universe from our perspective.
What I'd say to that is that one could let me see how far I can use. Do you guys watch anime?
A little, not a lot.
Do you watch Bleach?
I haven't seen it, man.
Yeah,
Rat
I've
Soup's
seen it.
probably seen it.
I'm just wondering how far we can sort of, if I make a reference to this or Game of Thrones, I'm just wondering because I don't know you guys, so just seeing how far we have things that are common between us. But what I'd say to you, Rat Soup, is that if we're going to have a conversation, then I'll use words like order, and then we have to have the same definitions for the words in order to have a meaningful conversation. So then, obviously, it wouldn't be obvious. Sorry for saying that.
In order to
Well,
have, I like how you use the word order
order
there.
means order would mean a system that is not destructive, or this is a system that works. This is when someone is pointing towards order, they're pointing towards something that has a purpose and it works in a certain way. Now, pointing towards things that are like, you have things that are destructive in nature, So because
Wait,
if we
can you
have,
real quick? So you're talking about purpose, you're talking about teleology. Can you point
yes,
to a purpose of something that is other that we might consider to be natural? What's the purpose of something that we might consider to be natural?
I'm not sure I understand. I'm not understand the question. Could you
Like
ask
a
again?
because you're talking about teleology and when you observe the
Yes,
universe, like it's got a purpose.
yes,
So
yes.
what exactly are you talking about? Can you give me an example of a purpose that something has that I might not think has like humanity, for instance, us existing. You might say that we have a purpose, I would imagine. So can you tell me what that purpose is and why you think it's true that we have that purpose?
All right. If if we're going from physics and we are just matter and energy, then stuff like, for example, feelings, like the absolute feeling of like something, the deep feeling of guilt, or the feeling that you were there was some injustice done, or the feeling of love, the feeling of hate, these emotions. Why, how then does a inanimate, impersonal universe give rise to beings that can feel and feel as though we even need to ask about
Wait, this isn't answering my
where are we
question. You're
from?
asking me a question now. I wanted an answer to mine first before you ask me one. So I was asking
No, all right. Well,
what you
so,
think our
I'm sorry, but
purpose is and how you know that we got this that we
oh,
actually
all
have this
right,
purpose.
all right. So the question is, how do I know what my purpose is?
Well, yeah, real quick, you're
Yeah.
saying or your position is that we have a purpose, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm asking what is that purpose and how do
Yes.
you know that we actually have that purpose?
Okay. So the purpose, the ultimate purpose, is to serve God, and that is being very succinct. That comes
Okay.
with
And
other
how did
things,
you
but the
determine that
ultimate
that
purpose,
was our purpose?
through my experiences with nature and through my lived experiences and experiences through reading the Bible, and also personal experiences with God.
So it's anecdotal things that won't be able to convince us, it sounds like. Do you have
Well,
anything,
well,
do you have an argument in favor of this position that we have this purpose?
but the thing is that you are invalidating anecdotal evidence.
Well, yeah.
What type of evidence would I have to present to you that would be meaningful to you?
I don't know that there is empirical evidence, but I would accept any if you had some. I would also accept a philosophical argument, a logical argument would be great.
All right. All right. A logical argument would be that if I walk into the room that I'm sitting in and I see the chair, the table, and all these things, it is reasonable to think that these things were caused.
Based on our priors, yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. So then, looking, going a bit further outside of the things that are obviously man-made, then we look at the trees, the universe, things that you can see through the Hubble telescope. I'm thinking that these things must have been caused too. And
Caused, I mean, yeah, caused, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
caused with
yeah, yeah.
intention,
So I
caused
mean,
with a
we
purpose,
agreed there.
because
We agreed there,
you're
but
talking about
what we are
teleology.
yeah, man. But what we where we
I love when you say
disagree
yeah,
or say,
man. Oh man, I love that shit.
yeah, yeah, because you don't know me Jamaican, yeah. So
Yeah, I
I
love it. I
mean,
just love it. You know, it's
what
like
what part of
I
the
feel
states are you
immersed.
from?
I'm in Virginia.
You're in Virginia. Oh, I've never been to Virginia. I've been to Indiana and I've been to Chicago. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
about it for me. Anyways,
Those are
but
some rough places to visit. The only time
hey
visiting the United
man,
States,
I've been
honestly,
I've
hey
been
the
to
listen,
hell.
Midwest.
I've been
I'm
to
sorry,
Gehenna. You know,
listen. I think
there's
Hades.
nothing in Indiana.
I mean,
Yo, yeah, I've been
I
to
was
New
working. I was
Mexico.
working in like Monticello. I was working at this theme park when I was a student. I went there twice,
Hmm.
Monticello, Indiana, and it was close to what's this this university in Indiana that's pretty popular. Not Ball State. It's what's that other one?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's get back to that.
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
didn't I
yeah,
didn't
but
mean to
that's different. But
derail us
but
here.
what I'm saying is what we disagree on is what that cause is. And I'm saying that it's a personal God that wants you to have a relationship with Him.
Right. So I
So
just need to know how
for
you got
me,
there.
like for example, when I look at nature, when I look at the order, when it for me, it points to something that is personal. Whether you call it Buddha, Allah, whether you call it
Can you
God,
give an argument for how you determined it's personal?
the care. For me, I can see the care that was made, that was put into, what would say, creation.
Right, but can you
I
like
see that.
demonstrate that?
I'm struggling to see what you mean by demonstrate because
You look at the
I
universe
cannot
and you see this care of the creation. You
mhm.
see you think there's a purpose, and I look at the
Yes.
same universe and I just
Oh,
don't see it, right?
all
Like
right, all
so
right.
like you're
What's your
saying
is
this
your
is
name?
your
All right.
perspective. I want to know why you
All right.
think this.
All right, good. All
Yeah,
right.
you're,
All
you're
right.
essentially
Let me
appealing to intuition, but
point to
our
one
intuition
thing.
doesn't agree.
I think this is a good one. All right. So let's think about time. And we know that the way we get a month is generally around how the lunar cycle. We know that the day is the rising and setting of the sun. We know that seasons are there based on the time of the year. We know a lot of things about the time that we know what a year is. It's the revolution of the sun, the earth around the sun. We know these things. But one thing I'll say to you in Genesis 1, we have the creation week, and there's nothing in nature that gives us a week, but the week exists. So, for example, we know what a week is, it's 7 days, but the only place
Yeah,
that you have a week is in the Bible. So, for me
we
as
came
well,
up with the week. The people
how?
who wrote
How?
the
But it's in the Bible, that's where we
we
got it from.
no, the person who wrote the Bible had a concept of a week.
You had a concept of a week.
Yeah,
And why do we follow it to this day? I mean, there have been even
This is the system
because
that
attempts
you,
to
we
you,
use
you
that's
like a
working
mentioned
10
for
day
us.
week. That has never worked.
you mentioned the lunar calendar being the roots of the months, right?
Yes.
Well, the lunar cycle is on a 28-day cycle,
Yeah,
right?
man. And that, yeah.
So that's four groups of seven.
No, man. So look it up. And if you follow the lunar, there are actually 13 lunar months every year. So if we had followed the lunar cycle, it would be 13 lunar months.
Right. Yeah,
You can look
I
you
know,
can look
but
that
like
one up.
the months are loosely based off of that, and the concept of a week is loosely based off just a quartering of a lunar month. That's all. That's really all it
No,
comes down to. It's just a quarter month.
no. Look, you all right, look it
You know
up.
how many weeks there are in a
I
month?
can look up what you're
There's
saying, but
roughly
why would
four.
it be say again?
I said there's roughly 4 weeks in each of our months. So that's true what Ratsup just said. We quarter the months into weeks.
All right, but I'll say to you, I hear what you're saying. We know that after the fact, but there is. Do you realize that we are having to base the week now off the month, but the weeks give rise to the months. So what I'm saying to you, friends, is that the week itself came from the creation, and
Right.
Uh,
this
We
is
wh-
why at
disagree with
this.
that.
uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so
no,
like
I know you're disagreeing.
there's a
So I'm actually
possibility. I don't know when the 7 day week actually originated
look it up.
in our history. But if we, because our Gregorian calendar is based on some Catholic tradition, right? But that doesn't mean that the claims of the Catholic Church is true. Um, but if our week was, let's say, like I grant that it was based on what the Bible says, it doesn't mean that what the Bible says is true. It just means that if the Bible's not true, then we have based our week on a myth, right? Like, and it just works for us still, right? It doesn't mean that the creation is actually true.
All right, something else I'll say to you is that take for example, and I'm a little bit different from your typical Christian. I fall under the sect that would be Seventh Day Adventist. So I don't go to church on Sundays. I go to church on Sabbath. If you look at the name in the name for Saturday in a lot of languages, you will see that the seventh day, which is Sabbath, it's actually baked into a lot of languages. You know, it's Shabbat, it's Sabado, it's Samidi. It's these things that point back to the creation story that we find in
And
Genesis 1.
Thursday is named after Thor. Wednesday is
Yes,
named
and
after Odin, and Friday is named after
yes,
Frida
and Sunday
or
is named after
Frita.
the sun because it was the chief pagan god. But
Right.
you don't find the names of the week in the Bible. You don't find those names. You hear first day, second day, etc.
So
You
the
know.
7 day week started with Mesopotamia in the Middle East, which would have been prior to the writing of the Bible. And the 7 days were named for the sun, the moon, and the five major planets visible to the naked eye. So that's kind of also related to the reason that we do it. The ancient Germans had a 5 day cycle with their primary gods, but we already called the planets after gods at the time. So that's kind of where we get the weeks from, and that's most likely the reason for it in the Bible.
Did you just look that up?
Yep, I went ahead and looked it up. You
Yeah, I
mentioned it.
think we need to do more research on that. That's preliminary. But what
Well,
I'll
It was
say
the
to
thing is
officially
you
though,
adopted by
totally.
Emperor Constantine in 321 for our
the
current
thing is though,
modern 7 day
Kenroy,
week.
is that
Yes, sir.
like I mean, you've got your claim, and
Yes.
there are other claims, but
Yes.
we need the actual evidence supporting the claim. You can say it's based on biblical creation. If biblical creation isn't true, we wouldn't have a week. I mean, I think that's very
Yeah.
flimsy as a claim on its own, right? You need to substantiate it with some kind of
Okay.
valid premises or some kind of evidence for this.
All right, I hear that. Something I'll say as well is that I like that you guys are respectful. So I will invoke that saying from that movie, The Terminator. If right now I can't give evidence that you think is substantial, I must say I will be back. But I will go again, and because I'm actually doing some studies on biblical apologetics, so it's argumentation. So sometimes I like guys who ask tough questions that I probably don't even answer properly. So I will go and I look a little bit harder, and
Yeah.
All right.
the fact of the
Yeah.
matter is
Yeah.
that if you ask me a question that I can't answer adequately, probably I don't know the answer good enough.
Fantastic,
It
Kenroy.
doesn't mean that what I'm saying is wrong. It just means I don't know it well enough.
Yeah,
If
doesn't
I
mean
can
you're
give you some
wrong.
suggestions for finding some stuff about like the 7 day week,
Yes.
the Gudea cylinders talk about it being 7 day week, and these are from like 2000 BC,
Say that
and then
again so I
also
can
the
write it
Epic of
down.
Gilgamesh mentions
Ah,
mentions the
okay.
7 day week.
Okay. Yeah, I know about the Epic of Gilgamesh. I didn't know
Kenroy, thank
about
you
it
for
in terms
coming
of
up.
our.
I want to get to somebody else here, but thank you for coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
I
no problem,
appreciate you,
man. All
man.
right, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks for.
he'll be back. All right. Um, thanks guys for being here. We did a reset and it's doing much better. We were like in the 30s by the time I reset it. So, yeah, thank you guys for sitting here and watching this with us. Thanks for the taps. Thank you for all the shares and everything. Let me see. Who have I not talked to? I don't think I've ever talked to. We got some repeats here. I'm going to prioritize who I think might be new. I don't think I've ever spoken to Lisa before.
Hi,
Hey,
Lisa.
Lisa, are you at least 18? T-cupped. Lisa, we can't hear you if you're off the app. Lisa.
2,000 years later.
All right, Lisa. That's compelling stuff. Thank you for coming up. Let's try. Let's try. I don't know that I've talked to Jonathan before. Maybe I have. It's hard to tell when there's a cross PFP because a lot of people I talk to have a cross PFP.
True.
And Jonathan's one of the most common names in the universe. Jonathan's not connecting.
Oh, here he is. Maybe.
Maybe. I still see the rotating dots.
Jonathan.
All right, Jonathan. Compelling stuff. Thanks for coming up. I don't know, connection problems. So let's try. Let's try. So, oh, Jonathan's trying again. Okay, let's try Jonathan again. Maybe it's just a connection thing. All
Rip.
right. Yeah, rip that. Let's try this person, Ash. Hey, Ash, Elise 18.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, finally somebody we can hear. It's weird when you get multiple
Sorry.
people who don't like connect or don't speak in a row because I start to wonder if it's a me thing. Okay, what God do you
No,
believe
it's
in?
definitely not you. I believe in the I am, the Yahweh in the Bible.
Okay, you're a Christian. Okay, so we're both
Yes.
atheists. What's your best evidence for God?
So, I guess to kind of get an idea where you guys are at, because I'm still kind of learning who you guys are. I've never seen you guys until literally just now. So yeah, I know that you stated that you believe in the universe. Is that right?
That's where I live.
Yes.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay, and that you believe that it's like infinitely existing.
That's what I
We-
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
always existed. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys believe that the Earth is also infinitely existing, or that
No.
the Earth was created at some point?
The Earth would have come from the accretion disk around the sun.
So you do believe that there was a beginning to the Earth?
Yeah.
Yes, to the Earth, yes.
And to be clear,
So
with our view about the universe, we don't believe it to be mystical or holy or worthy of worship in any way. We just think it's always there and has always existed and still exists. You know.
I completely understand. So you think do you think like the universe created the solar system? Is that what you believe?
I think that the laws of physics cause the solar system to come into existence, but I think the universe is just where that happened.
I got you. Okay. Now, do y'all believe in like good and bad, right and wrong?
That depends on what you mean. I think Ratsoup takes a different approach to this than I do. I mean, I'm a moral anti-realist. Ratsoup, are you a realist? Or are you like agnostic to this? Or
I'm still kind of forming my position, to be honest. I think that the only actual rational, this is going to be a different discussion. The only rational takes for an objective morality are things that I've heard from atheist perspectives, and I think there's some validity to them. But yeah, I'm happy to just support your position on this.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm an anti-realist, and that's not to say that I think morals are not real. Absolutely. I believe that they're real pragmatically. I think that you can have an objectively best moral stance within a framework, and the framework would have been constructed from our subjective values.
Okay, so do you believe that we're built on our morality?
I don't
I'm
know
not
what
sure
you
I know
mean
what you
by
mean
that.
by that.
So like who we are is determined by like what we believe or like how we perceive the world or the
I would I
universe.
would say so I'll answer this one last question, then I would love to get your evidence or argument, but I think
Okay,
that
go ahead.
we are the totality of our experiences. If we're talking about our person, or like who we are as a person, like if you're not talking about the physical, like my hands and stuff, my feet, that's me in a sense. But when you're talking about who I am, as in my personality and who I can, like my sense of self, I would just be the totality of my experiences.
Okay. I guess where I get um stumped with what y'all believe is if the universe, well, actually let me ask, do you guys believe the universe is moral, or is that more of like a personal thing?
No, I
Yeah, I
would
don't
say
think
that
there's anything inherently moral to the
yeah,
universe.
the universe I would say is amoral. I would need to be convinced of it being moral.
Okay. So if the universe has no sense of morality, how can a non-moral universe give moral character? It's
So
like saying like a
I'm happy with answering this question, but I would love I'll answer this question, but I would love to get your evidence or argument after this, okay? So I think that
I understand. It's leading up to it. I apologize for
it's all
the
right.
lengthy questions.
It's fine. So I mean, you got the questions. I'm happy to answer. I think I try to be as gracious as I can, patient stuff. But so I would say that we develop our morals based on our values, and those values are based on things like our biology and our societies, which changes and ebbs and flows. The universe would have given rise to us, not intentionally, just naturally through the processes that we undergo. And it didn't intend for it necessarily. I think that it would follow that if we exist and we're able to exist with each other, we would formulate naturally some kind of moral system. Some don't work and some do work, and the ones that do work uh, get perpetuated for a longer time and get built upon. The ones that don't work, where it's like, it's fine to murder people, they don't last long, right? And I don't think that it's objectively right or wrong. I just think that that's how morals come to be. It's a natural progression of values being better or worse for our societies and the individuals that practice them.
And to add on to this, I'd like to point out that we don't apply morals beyond humans. We don't apply them to the universe at large. Look at life, and we see most life is feeding upon other life in order to survive. We see parasite wasps, for instance, implanting their eggs into caterpillars, and this is their way of life, is to implant their
Right.
babies into other babies so those babies eat those babies alive. It's horrible in a lot of ways if you try to apply a human morality to it. It doesn't make sense to apply morality to most of the universe. It's simply bigger and wilder than that.
That's a good
Oh,
point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like we don't really apply like when an animal does what we would consider a human to be doing as like evil, we don't, right? And if somebody's out of their mind and they do something that we would consider evil, if we realize they're out of their mind, we stop like we don't consider them evil anymore. I like an example of where a guy does like maybe he goes on a killing spree, but we determined that he was being mind controlled. Suddenly he's off the hook, and the guy who's mind controlling him, right? He was the one who's on the hook. You know what I mean? Like the guy who actually did the thing is innocent because he didn't really have any moral agency.
That's why Manson went to jail
Yeah,
for
he
the
didn't. Yeah,
murders.
he didn't even do anything. He was just like well, he didn't physically carry out the actions, but he like told people to do stuff, right? Yeah. So I hope that we answered all your questions. Ash, do you have some evidence or do you have an argument that you'd like to present to us?
I guess when y'all present it that way, the way I perceive it, now maybe I'm perceiving it wrong, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like saying y'all are saying like a computer can create its own thoughts and morality. Like not even AI can create like moral character. And the reason why I bring up morality is because like our beliefs and our faith and moral character all go hand in hand. And so you're basically saying that a universe that is non-moral can create something to become moral.
Well, it's not perfect, is it? I mean, many people have completely wildly different moral opinions. Some people are like moral nihilists where they don't think that morals even matter. Those people exist. The universe would have given rise to them as well. But that doesn't really work at a large scale for like if evolution is creating us to survive and to thrive. then it would follow that the best things for us are going to be the things that stand the test of time. The things that don't work as well will just die out.
I think for by and large, you can trust moral intuition and you can compare your moral intuition and test it against other people's. And what you arrive at will generally give you insight into what your moral action should be.
Yeah, and I
And
understand. I
one
guess
more thing is that we're one species of animal. Many animals uh, will eat their own children, right? Some animals will abandon their children. Some animals will protect their children. Some animals have similar moral intuition to humans. Some animals are sympathetic to other animals, and some animals don't care about whether or not they kill another animal or another of their own kind. It's all just dependent on the type of animal we're talking about. And we just happen to be one of the animals that gets benefit from our moral intuition. So it just spreads because we are benefiting from that.
okay. So, but I don't see how something that isn't moral can create something that is. Because if morality is like it's really like almost like a belief system in a way, because people have different moralities. We're not all based on like a copy machine where we all have the same thing. Now unless you have the similar or same belief, then your morals should be the same theoretically. So again, how do you create something that from something that isn't moral? Like I said, it's like the same thing as using a computer that isn't moral to create moral answers for you, like AI. AI can't create morality. But it also shows that there has something that must have been before it, that to put information into it and knowledge and put moral character into us. And the only thing to put moral character into something that has moral character is something that would have it already, making a creator necessary.
So
Well, I
I
think what Lobes is saying is that this moral character can be completely explained by well, evolution for the most part. That it's derived. It is not doesn't come directly from evolution necessarily, but it's derived from social benefits that came about from us being a species that was gregarious. We had a constant. Our biggest advantage was our huge groups, our ability to maintain social cohesion as large groups and to care for individuals within those groups. You can see some of this development, like there's like rats and crows and other highly social animals have senses of fairness, right? Where they will treat each other with fairness. They'll give each other benefits of, like rats will try to free each other, even if there's no benefit to themselves for it, things like that. You start seeing these things arise in social animals that are developing, that are increasingly intelligent. So there's evidence even within the animal kingdom around us of how something like a moral code can come about, and a lot of it is just simply what is logically the best thing that makes the most sense. Like generally, participating in society in a way like not stealing or being charitable to others, at the end of the day, is the most beneficial way to yourself to go about your life. So generally, moral systems are just the most logical thing to do if to a reflective person who has the best understanding of themselves and the world around them.
Yeah, I think that to summarize, like a moral system in a species like humanity is the path of least resistance. Like it's what I would expect from a natural universe where something like us comes into existence.
Okay. Um, so y'all basically saying that it's something almost like a survival instinct. Like that's something that as we grow, we know that, by doing one action, it causes an effect.
More or
Is
less. I
that what
mean,
you're?
I mean, like simply put, you could say it like that. There's a little bit more to it, but yeah, basically that.
Well, what am I missing? Just to make sure I understand.
Because morals are so multifaceted, it's not just based on something like reason. It's also based on our um, biological evolution as well as social evolution. So if we were a different species of animal, if we had different biology and we had more success in spreading our genes and populating without the need for social cohesion, then we wouldn't have the same types of moral systems we have today. We would be really great at surviving on our own, independent. We wouldn't really get lonely. We would have developed more like that. But we happen to have a benefit from grouping together, and when we group together, the ones that fight and steal from each other and have distrust and kill each other and stuff like this, they aren't going to do as well and reproduce as much and work together as well as those who happen to have the contrary values, where they like what Rat Soup was saying, a rat will sometimes save another rat, humans will save other humans. A society that does what we would consider to be moral is going to have greater success in their survival, so it naturally develops.
Okay, I understand. Um, I can't really talk more, but I really appreciate y'all willing to speak with me, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
You too.
Certainly,
Thanks for coming
Ash. Yeah,
in.
thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
she was nice. She was inquisitive. I really liked what she had to say. I wish she had an argument, but I think she just wanted to ask questions, and she was, I think that she was coming up here in good faith. So,
I agree. Not everyone is debates all the time like we do, or even watches debates to know that what we're expecting out of a discussion
mhm.
off the rip. You know what I mean? But I think she got a lot out of that. And that's good for me.
Yeah, I was kind of taken aback at first. Sometimes it's like, how do you not understand this? Because I think we just said the same thing in different ways multiple times, and finally she got it. It's like a different way you have to phrase it, because it was like, how does something that's amoral to like give rise to something that is? I think we explained it like two, three times, or maybe even four times before she understood it. We said the same thing with the different verbiage. Sometimes that's what people need. Now it's 2:47 in the morning, and I think we've had a really great live. I'm going to go ahead and call it, but let me check out who we can raid. And guys, make sure you're following Rat Soup for being here virtually every Wednesday. I think every Wednesday that I've gone live for the past month, you've been here, right?
Yeah, I think this is third or fourth time now. Yeah.
Yeah. I skipped a Wednesday, I think last week or something, or the week before. Um, but yeah, man, this is Ratsu. Make sure you guys send him some love, give him some gifts, W's, give him some follows. This is Ratsu. Do you ever go live on this account, or how often do you go live with Robot Goat?
So I do not go live on this account much yet, and I'm hoping to get into more of a habit of doing stuff soon on this account and on the Robot Goat account. But lately I've been letting Robot Goat take the reins there a little bit more. So I'm probably going to get involved a little bit more, maybe on the weekends, but it's going to be, we'll just say pending for now. I'll pop in as a surprise here and there, especially on Robot Goat's lives. I'll come in and guest quite a bit. So,
Cool. Yeah.
just keep an eye out for Robot Goat in general.
Yeah. Also, make sure you're following Robot Goat. That's Rat Soup's partner. There. How long have they been doing it though? Because I only discovered them like a couple of months ago.
We only started doing our thing in like February, January, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
Fell in with Joel and Mezzo. I think that was a nice boost. And that's like it's great. So Joel and Mezzo of course are also awesome. You guys all like you, Robot Goat, and everybody who is supporting. I love to see the rapid success of any account that's doing what we're doing here. Um, and I would love to see you do some personal lives. I would love to panel too. That'd be great. Make sure you guys are following Rat Soup. I think that I've discovered who we're going to go ahead and raid tonight.
Ooh, who's it going to be?
I think it'll be Tiny Science. What do you think?
Ooh, I like it. Tiny Science.
And I know he just started too, because it said that he joined a few minutes ago, so he couldn't have been live while he was doing that. So he's not wrapping up. Um, I usually do Boma, but I mean, like, she doesn't need the support as much as Tiny Science does. And usually that's because there's not a lot of people live when I say that. So Tiny Science, we'll all go read it over there. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you give me a follow if you like what I'm doing here. If you appreciate the style, join the Discord, all that stuff. I'll see you guys over at Tiny Science. And here is Empty Throne.
You carved your name into our fear, spoke in smoke, swore you were the sky itself, the